Hey, how's it going there, JT? Hello, Mapleberry Farm. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Chase Taylor, yeah. No, I'm not doing these live things too often, but just once in a while I thought I'd jump on here and when I don't feel like editing another video, it'd take me 4 hours of editing. So I know some of you guys like this shit more anyway than the edited video, so we'll see. Sometimes I like to do a variation just for fun. Hey, Joy Monkey, how's it going? Hey, Joy Monkey, you've been tuning into my videos otherwise? Have you been actually watching any of this stuff? Because I haven't seen you comment for quite a while. Hey, H. Laker, how's it going, buddy? So what's a good amount of reps to build mass? Okay, my tripod's going all weird on me, so guys, just I'll be adjusting this all the time because that's the risk of doing this live crap. Basically, what's the best rep range for building mass? All rep ranges. That's what I always talk about, all rep ranges. You know, 5 reps, 6 reps to build the strength, build the nervous system connection, and then 10 to 15 reps in order to get that hypertrophy going, and at the same time build the strength endurance fibers. So you want to hit all the fibers if you want to gain mass. That's the bottom line. And the thing is that I came to terms with doing different rep ranges just because my body would break if I started doing 5 reps all the time. Doing that type of heavy weight all the time is a lot harder on the joints, although it is necessary sometimes to fire the muscles in a different way. So you want to kind of have that variation. So getting the reps in there not only gives the joints a bit more of a rest, but at the same time it does hit those other muscle fibers so you build more mass. Oh, Ninja Monkey, you made it. Yep, attaboy. So what's going on there, Jeremy, with Mapleberry Farm there? How you doing, buddy? I see you're making some videos, but your content's all over the place. 1 minute it's like baby carriages, next minute it's like how to cut down a tree. Harris Vallejo, if I'm saying that right, sorry if I'm not. Have you watched any of my other videos there, Harris? Have you watched any of my other videos on you know, programs and what I do as far as frequency and all that? How you doing, Dwarf? How's it going? I got another stupid comment Saturday video coming up. I'm not going to tell you what the comment was, but I just got the comment today, so I'm going to have some fun with that one. Yeah, okay, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that's what I said, Jeremy. Yeah, your content will start to streamline a little bit because I want to give you some feedback sometimes, but at the same time, it helps just to find your way too. Sometimes to be creative and just play around and see what kind of makes sense to you, right? When it comes down to creating your own videos and what it is you like to do. At some point, there'll be a thread of something that moves through it, and that'll be your overall theme, right? So, yeah, now keep having fun with that. Okay, so let me just see here. So Harris, did you hear me? I asked you a question. I asked you a question, man. 2-day split or 3-day split, he's asking. So I'm just asking, did you watch any of my other videos at all, or? Okay, I'll wait for you to get back to me on that. Okay. Okay, so your body's used to a 2-day split, push-ups and pull-ups till failure every other day. Yeah, but the thing is, pull-ups and push-ups are going to kind of be, you're going to hit a wall with those because push-ups and pull-ups are limited, right? I mean, push-ups, once you get into 100 reps and above and stuff, it's really not going to be adding mass the same way. You might be burning calories, you're getting a workout in, but I guess it depends what you're asking me. Are you asking me for bodybuilding reasons, or are you just asking me just to get a little bit of a workout in and do some push-ups? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do push-ups every day, really. When you're doing higher rep ranges, you can train at much higher frequencies. You don't have to rest as much. So it's kind of like running, right? Guys run every day. Well, that's because they're doing super high reps. It's more endurance work. You're not really working the real power part of the muscle at that point, right? So as much as push-ups and pull-ups are great, because pull-ups are, you know, a lot harder to do than push-ups, and it depends obviously on your body fat level and how heavy you are and your strength to weight ratio, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, doing body weight stuff, unless you find ways to increase your body weight or increase the angle somehow, you're going to hit a limitation in how much tension you can give to the muscle, right? Yeah, dips too, exactly. Dips, like I said, dips are also limited. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be doing 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 reps. Like, these are really high rep ranges. So again, it depends why you're asking me. Are you asking me as a workout, just as far as just burning some calories, or are you doing it because you want to gain muscle mass? If you want to gain muscle mass, you're going to have to do some heavier workouts as well. Body weight won't be enough when it comes to a lot of the muscle groups. Now, when it comes to shoulders, doing handstand push-ups, yeah, there I would say, yeah, you're right. You know, you could do handstand push-ups and that's gonna be pretty challenging. But when it comes down to body weight squats, for instance, you know that just doing squats your body weight might help shape the legs. Maybe you'll get some sort of tone as far as some fat burning going on in the overall body and all that. And you will build some endurance fibers, but you won't necessarily build the same amount of mass as if you mix the reps up, right? If you're doing heavyweight along with the high rep workouts as well, right? So again, you could do every day whole body workouts if you're doing super high reps, like 50 reps and above. You could probably train the whole body every single day of the week and just watch your volume and see which amount of volume that you recover from. So say maybe 3 or 4 sets per body part, you probably recover just fine every single day if you're doing rep ranges like that. Yeah, exactly. Maple Farm. I do foam rolling once in a while. Usually what I do is I have this, if you watch my video in 20 minutes, how I increase my bench press in 20 minutes, you'll see this triangle, like it's a pyramid, a metal, and it has these wooden balls on the side. And basically I can dig that into different muscles so I can actually do my own massage therapy on my back and stuff. So I find that works really well. But foam rolling is great too for breaking up some of those adhesions and getting blood flow to an area. H. Laker, do I still make gains? H. Laker, all you have to do is look at my videos, watch my videos from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and then 6 months ago, and you'll see. I've been making gains the last 3 or 4 years because what I'm doing is I'm training my body to be a bodybuilder again, okay? Because I trained it for about 12 years to be a hockey player. So I lost muscle mass around the arms, I lost muscle mass in certain areas. So now it's like I've had to train the body back into this whole psychology of it's okay to put muscle mass. You're not gonna be skating for an hour and a half straight, you know, just sprinting back and forth. So I'm training the body back into that. So you can see that I've actually put on muscle mass and I've put on strength again, despite some of the injuries I had from hockey, right? So yeah, can I still make gains? Yeah. Is it the same as when you're 18 years old? Probably not. But at the same time, I'm at a higher level and I'm also overcoming different obstacles, such as an unstable shoulder joint and so forth, right? But yeah, I'm still making gains. I'm still pushing myself in order to develop my physique in some way, shape, or form, right? So that's really what I'm doing this channel for, is I'm trying to show you guys what you can do as a drug-free athlete, no matter what age you're at. And the thing is, this candle's not really being lit on the internet right now because there's so many people out there thinking that you have to be cheating somehow in order to gain muscle. But the thing is, you know, weight training's been around since thousands of years ago, some sort of form of resistance training, right? I mean, if you look at the knights back in the day, I mean, they used to look at their cadavers and their bodies and stuff, and one arm would have actually denser bone than the other arm from their sword arm swinging that weight of the sword, right? So, you know what? You can make gains as a natural athlete, and you can do it for quite a long time. So, yeah, that's what I'm trying to show you guys. So, yeah, look at my videos, honestly. Look at my videos from 4 years ago, and you can see how I've made gains, how I've changed my diet, how I've gotten leaner and all this, and my physique has changed quite a bit over the last 3 years. Northern Cross, am I still a heavy drinker? I've never drank my whole life. What are you talking about? Northern Cross, what are you saying? Am I a heavy drinker? I don't drink. I never actually drank. I had 1 or 2 times a year that I drink when I was younger, and I found that it screwed up my training so much that I just said, screw it. Like, drinking was about the dumbest thing you could do when you wanted to be a bodybuilder, so I didn't do it. Yeah. So Northern Cross, what are you saying? Why are you asking that question when it's kind of an irrelevant, stupid question? I'll wait for your response here. There's a bit of a... What food is good for a high caloric diet? Well, I mean, any food that has a lot of fat in it and a lot of sugar, you know? So, hey John, how's it going? McDonald's, yeah. McDonald's is nothing but shit, though, I'd say. Like, these types of foods that are kind of half chemical, half plastic, half calories, you know, they have lots of calories and they taste good going down, but I always found when I had fast food that I wake up in the middle of the night and I had this hungry feeling, and it must be from the preservatives and stuff that they put in the food. So yeah, I found that stuff's not really that good. Yeah, when you want to puke every time you go to the gym, that's probably not a good high caloric food for you. I mean, if anything, I found that I was better with high carbs, high protein, and lower fat. That's just how my digestive system worked. But somebody else might do better on a high fat, high protein diet with a moderate amount of carbs. So you have to kind of find your way through that. But yeah, fat has the most amount of calories per gram, but it's a matter of how your body digests the food. So if your body just has an easy time of digesting a lot of fat, then that would be the best diet for you. But I knew other guys that were like ectomorphs that burned a lot of calories, and if they went low fat, high carbs, high protein, they seemed to do better. But then another guy that's an ectomorph, that wouldn't work for him because his metabolism was going so fast and stuff, and he's digesting all this food. He had to eat everything in sight. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me just go back to this Northern Cross guy. Hey, Northern Cross, are you still here or what? Are you going to answer my question? I want to find out whether you're an asshole or not here. So let me find out here. So Gursimrat Sidhu, you're a newer member at Champ, so yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, basically I left Champs because I moved out to Harrison Hot Springs, so now I'm training at Murph's gym, and then I'm training at a gym. I'm actually going to post a video on this. I'm also training at a gym called Agassiz, or Fraser Valley Fitness actually, but it's in Agassiz, and I also train in my garage at home, right? So I was just training tonight, so that's why I thought I'd just jump on here and do a live chat here just to get this in. Okay, circuit training. Okay, so how about sneakers on pedals is saying, how about circuit training? Okay, circuit training for what? How about circuit training? How about calculus? Let me ask you a question like that. How about calculus? Like, what are we talking about? Give me some reference here. How about circuit training for what? Right? Yeah. Okay, are you going to say circuit training for what? So I don't know if the live chat's got a delay in it or not, so bear with me, guys, as I'm waiting for the response here. So, yeah, make your question specific, because sometimes people are like, they write in abbreviations and shit, and I'm like, okay, what's he mean? What's he saying? Like, how about red? Okay, red. Okay, the color red. What's that have to do with training? What do you mean? How about red? Red what? Like, give me some reference here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hear that, Gursamarat. Yeah, nice. All right. Okay, I'm not getting sneakers on pedals is not answering me here. H. Laker, I can't stand CrossFit for the most part because it's weight, instability, and endurance and fatigue all at the same time is a recipe for disaster in a lot of cases. But the exercises are fine, like powerlifting and Olympic lifting and stuff. These are all good when these exercises are used in the right capacity. But the last thing you want to do is have the lower back hit failure and hit fatigue, and then at the same time have a place of instability and weight above your head at the same time. You know, like these are not, and extreme range of motion, right? So these four things are recipes for disaster. I don't know how many things was that. Anyway, the bottom line is that when you have a lot of those factors all together happening at the same time, you can really incur the risk of injury a lot. So that's why Olympic lifters aren't really training Olympic lifts when they're 60. You know, there's a reason. You know, I'm in my 40s and I'm still squatting 4 plates for sets of 15 reps. So there's a reason why I'm still doing that. But if I was Olympic lifting, there's a very strong chance that I wouldn't be doing it anymore. Unless, of course, I was built genetically for it. So it depends on the person. But I do not at all agree with the whole circuit training idea as far as running around a track for 4 or 5 laps where you're burning out that cardio and endurance, and then you go to do a sub-maximal lift above the head. That's about the dumbest thing you can do if you want to avoid injuries. Because when you're fatigued, guess what? Now you're not stabilizing properly, and when you're not stabilizing properly, that's when you get an injury, right? Because all those muscles in the spine and the lower back and the hips, they need to be strong and stable in order to protect the joints. And when those joints aren't being protected, that's when a failure, some sort of injury happens. That's when you hit failure and then you tweak something, right? So you can't combine endurance training and strength training. That's the thing a lot of people don't realize. You cannot combine them at the exact same time. Otherwise, it's like a tug of war. You're pulling in 2 different directions at the same time. Something will snap. Yeah, Champus, don't be a smartass, Champus. Come on, man. I know you like to joke around and everything, but there are some guys that are natural on YouTube that people don't think they're natural, but they are. The thing is, on YouTube, there's a lot of stupid people that think that everybody that has any sort of muscular development is not natural. But the truth is that you can develop muscles naturally. My dad did it, my brother did it, I did it, and I know a lot of guys that I competed with that also did it. Kyle Murphy at his gym and Murph's gym, he did it. You know, a lot of people have done it. It's just that right now, drug addiction is shrouding the entire society. So we have a majority of people that are addicted to different types of substances, so they just assume everybody else is also addicted to a substance in order to get something done. But that's not the truth. Just because there are a lot of people that are addicted or using substances doesn't mean that everybody is, right? John Rich, I talked to you, if you want to watch the bicep thing, how my bicep got injured from a chiropractor, just go to my video, injuries that I've had. I explain it all in there. You know, guys, I made 400 and something videos, right? So I really highly encourage you guys to go into this library, and a lot of the questions you're asking me, a lot of times, I do answer in these videos, right? Okay, so I said it in there. The guy yanked on my arm, didn't realize that my arm could hyperextend because I broke this elbow, right? When I was 10 years old or 9 years old. And so I could hyperextend it. He kept insisting that I hyperextend my elbow and then resist as he yanked on my arm. So that's what happened. He basically said, resist 100%, so I'm resisting, and then he pushed down really fast. So it's kind of like me making you do, I say lock your knee, and then resist against my hand. As I push your heel above your head, you're gonna tear a hamstring 100%. So this idiot basically did that. And he was friends with my ex-girlfriend at the time, who was a massage therapist. So I was gonna sue him, but she's like, oh, please don't sue him because, you know, I have this business relationship with him. So that's why I didn't sue him. But it's his own stupidity that actually did that. And to top it off, my biceps were tight from a bicep workout I had the day before. So anyway, absolute stupidity. I'd like to choke the crap out of the guy, but you know what? Hey, it wasn't his fault really because he didn't know what he was doing. So sometimes when people are stupid, you can't really hate them for it. But yeah, he was kind of dumb. Yeah, just truth. Yeah, the thing is, CrossFit can be good if you're smart when it comes down to endurance and then coordination, and realize that when you're using the spine, you don't want you're not a snake, right? We're not snakes. So if you're a snake and your spine's doing this, no problem, right? Put 500 pounds on your back and have your spine do this. That's when the vertebrae, you know, and the disc just pops out the side. So this is the thing a lot of people don't realize, is that when you are unstable, when your lower back and your muscles are all fatigued, that's when that spine will do this, and that's when ta-tang, tang, tang, and then that's it, you're done, right? So I've seen some natural athletes, it doesn't matter what you can do, what they do. I mean, you could roll over them with a tractor and it doesn't matter, they don't get injured. So those types of people, it doesn't matter what they do, they're gonna be in great shape. But for a lot of people, that's just not a good practice, I don't think. Whenever you take weight and you take a lot of momentum and throw it in extreme ranges of motion, you're gonna get something that snaps. That's the entire, MO of jiu-jitsu, right? So. Okay, let me just scroll up here in some of the comments. Okay, so Chase Taylor. Okay, no, a lot of the movie stars aren't natural. Because the thing is, their priority isn't bodybuilding, their priority is acting, and a lot of times their priority is a whole bunch of other things. Sometimes they got to get fat for a role, sometimes they got to get lean for a role, sometimes they got to be a train wreck or an alcoholic for another one. I just saw that Jim Carrey Netflix thing where he's like just a total crazy man when he was trying to be Andy Kaufman and stuff. That was pretty funny. So I know a couple trainers, that work in Hollywood, and one guy I met quite strongly, like I had conversations with him and everything. And it's pretty common for the people in Hollywood to just use a substance and then train for a period of time. I can't speak for any one actor or not, but the bottom line is that if they're getting in shape, like they look like they've been bodybuilding for 20 years and yet they're doing it in 6 months, yeah, chances are they're not natural. That's not a natural sort of transformation. I'm not saying you can't get lean in 6 months. People can get lean if they're already sitting at 12% body fat, and then you get them on a good diet and then you get them training every day, in 3 or 4 months they can be in contest shape. That can happen depending on their metabolism and their genetics. But if they're putting on a massive amount of muscle and getting shredded at the same time, there's a good sign that they're not natural, right? So it's kind of a different thing. But their priority is just looking a certain way for the part. They're not necessarily saying, hey, I'm going to train for 10 years and then naturally I just fall into this role and it says, hey, I need muscles and I naturally already just had them, So these guys, a lot of times they're like almost anorexic, and then they got to look like they're Arnold Schwarzenegger in about 3 months. So that's a different sort of scenario, right? Yeah, Carrie did go into the role. That was pretty funny. Okay, so Priester Johans, I'm going to scroll up and see what your question was. Sorry, I saw you say something, but I got sidetracked with another answer here. So I got to scroll up here to find him. Where's He-Man? Where's He-Man? Come on, where's He-Man? I can't find him yet. He-Man's up here somewhere. Okay. So he's saying, hey Jason, there are really strong trainees that reign their Olympic lifts that rain. Okay, that must be a typo. Okay, okay, now I gotta, hey, Mr. He-Man, can you just print your question again? Because I gotta scroll all the way up and I just scrolled down, so. Chris Preto, how do you get rid of body dysmorphia? Well, become conscious of all the suffering that you have not become conscious of and let that go, let go of your own judgments. Obviously, if you have judgments about your own body, that means you have a lot of judgments, period, and you're dying under the constraints of them, right? So dysmorphia, they say it's a disease, but really what it is a point of view. It's a point of view that you're stuck in. So I recommend meditation, working with a counselor, working with somebody, and slowly just letting go of this point of view that you're holding on to. And that will help you with the dysmorphia. That will help you let go of this fanatical sort of thinking you have around how you should look. Because in the end, you're never going to hold up to your own ideals anyway. You get older, right? So how are you going to do it? Okay, let me see here. Okay, so Mate, Feed, Kill, Repeat is asking, any suggestions on workout for a recovering ankle, tore some ligaments in your right ankle 2 months ago? I'd say some stability type stuff once it's actually good enough to do so, but I'm not a rehab specialist or anything when it comes down to ankle stuff. You can benefit from some prolotherapy. I know my brother does that, where they put glucose in the ligaments around the ankle to help stabilize it. That can actually help the ligaments heal at a faster rate though. So I'd look at that and see if that might work. Priester Johans, he's saying, okay, some bodybuilders are bigger but much weaker. Well, the thing is, they're weaker in what? First of all, let's ask that question, because a lot of times people look at powerlifting, the big 3 lifts, they'll say deadlift, bench press, and squat. And they say those 3 lifts, a bodybuilder is weak in. But they're not looking at all the other lifts that the bodybuilder might be strong in, right? Like look at tricep extensions, or maybe bicep curls, or maybe dumbbell lateral raises, or maybe some of the other small muscle groups that the bodybuilder might be stronger in. So the reason why the bodybuilder is not necessarily as strong in the big 3 is that they're not a specialist. They're not putting all their time in that. And at the same time, they're also not putting all their time in learning how to balance and counterbalance a certain type of weight. So say when you're doing 5 reps on the bench, just find out when you're doing 5 reps on the bench, you're going to notice that there's a different balance involved. You have to do a different arc. You have to push the dumbbells or push the barbell in a different way than when you're using lighter weight. Lighter weight, you can kind of be all over the place a little bit. And it's a little bit more forgiving. Well, the heavier you go, then the more in tune you have to be. You have to be more in tune with the proper groove. So the practice of that is just nothing more than coordination. And a big part of that is what relates to strength. So a bodybuilder might have a very strong bench press if they worked at that specific weight or rep range. You know what I'm saying? Like look at the Kevin Levrons and these guys. They're very strong on the bench. It's because they practice that. Now, again, a reason why some people don't become powerlifters is because working with maximal poundages all the time is sometimes really detrimental to some people. Like you have to have the genetics for the joints to be able to take that wear and tear and to be able to lift those maximal poundages without getting injured. And a lot of people can't do it. Like I couldn't do it. If I was always lifting in the 5 rep range and 6 rep range, it would just destroy me. It wasn't right for me. My body didn't like it. It was too much. It was like overkill on the joints. So that's the thing. That's one of the reasons. The other reasons is, in the unnatural realm, there's obviously other pharmaceuticals and stuff like that that are involved that cause, glycogen and water retention and different types of strength gains and all this kind of stuff. So the bottom line is that's a whole other rocket science that's going on there with these guys. But the bottom line is that bodybuilding, yes, you do need to get stronger. As a natural athlete, you do need to get stronger and then rep out with that strength. And strength endurance and strength leads to overall muscle mass. Now, the other thing is, and I saw this with guys all the time, sometimes a guy had a bigger chest than me or a smaller chest than I did, and our strengths were different. So say I had a stronger bench press, but their chest was much better. Well, guess what? It's probably because I was recruiting more delt and more tricep, and maybe their insertions were different than mine, like where the actual pec inserted in their arm might be different, so they're using a higher percentage of pec for that same type of exercise. Hence, their chest would be bigger because the chest was getting more work for that type of exercise. So these things all play a role, right? They all play a role. So it's not just so simple as stronger in a compound lift means more muscle everywhere, because sometimes a guy's stronger, but it's his tricep that's doing the strength work, or the majority of the difference between him and another guy, right? If you compare the two, this guy's tricep is actually much stronger, and that's why it's, you know, pushing the weight up. So he might have massive triceps, but his chest isn't necessarily bigger, even though he's doing a chest exercise, because he's recruiting that tricep more. So there's lots of different things that can play a role in who gets bigger, right? Okay, so the difference in the training is the exercise selection, or is it more the volume and rep range? It's both. It's exercise selection, because powerlifters they specialize in a lift, like, and they hone that coordination, kind of like throwing a baseball or skating in hockey. If you skate every day or you throw a baseball every day, that coordination gets so good. So powerlifting and Olympic lifting, it's masters of coordination, not just tension in the actual muscle tissue itself. It's actually the coordination of when those muscles fire, in what order, to make sure it's perfected, right? It's absolutely totally perfected, and that leads to a heavier lift for that one lift. But it doesn't necessarily mean the muscles are stronger overall, although in a lot of cases they become stronger, but it's more a coordination thing. That's really why bodybuilders, they sometimes are less coordinated, but they're stronger in other areas. So a lot of times it's just about becoming a specialist in a certain exercise. Okay, so somebody's saying something. H. Laker, is it true if my back grows, everything else will grow with it or easier? Not necessarily. I don't know where people get this shit. I'm not saying anything about you, but I know there's like certain YouTubers that are they get so freaking fanatical about like, oh yeah, just do this one thing. You know why? Because it's really fun to brand, because they say, this is my point of view, and then this is like the absolute truth, and then go forth and spread my absolute truth, people. And then you find out it's, no, I know H, like, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that there's an oversimplification from different YouTubers. I had another guy make a stupid comment. It'll be on my stupid comment Saturday today about something else. And he made this stupid comment based on range of motion, and oh man, I'm gonna just blitz this one. This is gonna be fun to talk about. But anyway, the bottom, Chris Preto, I did a video on slow or fast reps just a little while ago, so you should take a look at that. Yeah. The thing is, when you work the spine, right, there is a tendency for the spine to influence your own hormone and nervous system production and overall system burden, right? Because there's so many different muscles connected to the spine, so much of your nervous system's there. So there is some people, and I've noticed myself, like when I do heavy squats, okay, just putting heavy weight on the spine and doing heavy squats, it does seem to influence the other aspects of my training. So this is something to bear in mind. When you're doing heavy weight on something, then it can actually cause an overall systemic response in the body. So then when you're doing arm curls, you're getting a better pump or you're getting stronger, okay? So this is something you want to take into account. But I've seen some people, and Jeremy, you're one of them, you know, deadlifting with a rounded back, you bastard. So anyway, don't do that, okay? You're hearing it first, and you're hearing it here, and I messaged you on your video. Don't be deadlifting with a rounded back just to get that heavy weight up, because that will crucify you. I mean, you herniated a disc and then that's it. It's over. Like, there's no training for 2 or 3 years. So what's the point, right? So you want to stimulate, but not annihilate, as they say. But yes, you want to annihilate the muscles, but not the joints, man. Not the joints. Jeremy's a wizard. He's actually a good guy. But anyway, the bottom line is I just want to keep him in one piece here. So I can go and, because he's starting a little farm area, so I want to go out to his house and just use him for all the maple syrup he's going to be harvesting there. I'm going to turn the heat on in the garage. It's getting cold in here. I just need a word from our sponsor. I need an ad there. There should have been an ad. You know, that would have been good. Okay. Moose meat is awesome. Yes, Jeremy, I will be coming for moose meat. That stuff is great. You can actually pack some up and send it to me. I would love that, Jeremy. If you get me moose meat, I will thank you forever for that one. That would be great. I love moose meat. Chris Preto, how do I know if I'm muscular? Why does it matter? Why does it matter, Chris? That's the question you should be asking yourself. I'd answer this question different for somebody else, but you, it shouldn't matter. Your practice is for it not to matter. That's your practice. Just train and have a relationship, but don't worry about the mirror. Opinion on seal rows. I didn't know seals could row. This is news to me, so I have no idea what that is. Yes, Douglas Faramir, somebody deadlifted with a rounded back. There are guys that can deadlift with a rounded back because once again, they have those joints that are kind of messed up and crazy. But ultimately, for 80 to 90% of people, if they deadlift with a rounded back, they will pop something. And I have done it, and I've seen a lot of other people do it. The bottom line is, it depends on how the forces are going on. Now, sometimes guys will wear a belt, and then they'll lean their big belly on the belt and then round up somehow. But it's only a matter of time, right? And also, I also want to say, if a guy has a world record, Douglas, like I'm not saying this guy, I don't know this guy, I don't know this guy's name or anything, but a lot of those guys are on such a large amount of water retentive type stuff that it's like their joints almost seem indestructible. I knew a guy in the gym, okay, for instance, I did deadlifts on the floor. I don't like doing them now, you don't see me do them, but I did about 35 reps of 315 with deadlifts on the floor. And there was this guy that was in the gym, he's about 10 years younger than me. He could only do deadlifts at 315 for a set of 5 or 10 reps. 12 reps actually is probably what he was doing. 12 reps at 315 from the floor. So we were having this little competition and I just annihilated him, right? Well, in 3 months, he was doing 500 pounds deadlift, 4 sets of 20 in 3 months. So I guess you can guess how that happened. The bottom line, his face went like this, and he went like this, all like, he looked like a Stay Puft Marshmallow, and all of a sudden his strength went through the roof, right? So yeah, sometimes these types of things these guys take also prevent them from getting injured, or at least being conscious of the injury until they're crippled. And then when they're crippled, then they can't train anymore, right? Because some of these things they take actually work like, it's almost like they're painkillers, so they're not aware of what's happening in their body until it's too late. So, Michael Shaw, if you want to know my opinion on push-pull legs, I have programs on my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. And the programs that I believe in are on there for sale or for purchase. Now, push-pull legs is kind of like a 3-day split, really. So I have a 3-day split on my website. But you don't have to really organize things in push or pull. Although if that feels right to you, then you can do that too. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't have any problem with any way that you organize your exercises. It's just really important to notice that you will see that some body parts seem to recover faster than others. Oh, okay, so Douglas, there you go, okay. Upper back can be rounded, lower back is what I'm talking about. The lower back cannot be rounded, because the upper back naturally has a round, you see what I'm saying? But the lower back should be like this a little bit. It shouldn't be rounded like this, it should be the slight arch, because that's natural in there, or at least flat, right? That means you're actually fighting gravity, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, good, okay, I'm glad we cleared that up. So this is the other problem I can't stand with YouTube, is because I don't have you guys in front of me. It's really hard for me to find out exactly what you're saying. So sometimes I'm talking to you, you might be agreeing with me, maybe you're disagreeing, I don't know, because the comments are kind of limited, right? Yeah. How's it going, Shazak Jared? How you doing? Sneaker on pedals. Okay, sneakers on pedals. I have a bad lower back. What do you recommend squat alternatives? Do you lunge? Okay, so one-legged squats and lunges are great. Lunges on a Smith machine will be different than free weight lunges, and I like both of those variations. Leg presses are great, but make sure you keep your bum down on that pad. Don't let your ass come up and round, because that's a lower back killer right there. And make sure when you're leg pressing, just come down to 90 degrees at the knee. You don't have to come down where the knees are at the chest, because that's a little bit harder on the back and the hips. So that's the thing. Okay, so Shazak, you're waiting for the next gym session? What do you mean? Like one of my videos gym session or your gym session? Okay, so Keith Waters, have I done forearm isolation? People ask me this all the time, and the truth is no. All I did was grip weights and lift weights, that's it. And my forearms just developed. I just naturally had that genetic sort of ability, I guess. My forearms just seem to really integrate with, I'm doing lateral raises, or doing curls, or doing lat pull downs. And I guess when I was an early age, like when I was 16, 17 years old and I went to the gym and did some pull downs, I basically was gripping onto the weight, gripping onto the pull downs, and I noticed my forearms were just burning, right? So just for some reason, my forearms really get activated when I grip. So yeah, that's basically how I work my forearms, just gripping weights. Depends. Okay, Agnash Ziz is asking, how does a disc herniation feel after the initial sharp pain? Well, sometimes it's not even a sharp pain. It's basically, it can manifest in many different ways, but if you have a disc problem, it will hurt anytime there's intra-abdominal pressure. Sometimes you get tingling down the back of the legs, you get a bone type ache that moves through the area as well. and chronic inflammation. So it's like a soreness, chronic soreness in the area. But it just depends on the situation and exactly what nerve it's stabbing into, or, you know, so yeah, lots of different symptoms can happen. Jay Zach saying duh over and over again, so I'm having a, yeah, I don't even know what he's talking about. Okay, let me just go up here. Chris Preto, go see a counselor, my friend. How do you stop comparing yourself to other people? I don't know, just go see a counselor. What muscles do women like the most? I don't know, ask them. Depends on the woman, I guess. Yeah, it's funny, you know, I noticed that YouTube is almost the place for general questions. Like there's a black and white answer to a lot of, you know, philosophical questions about life. I think a lot of YouTubers notice this, that people just, they have this general question. They're like, okay, so what's the best rock, you know? What's the best rock? I'm like, I don't know what the best rock is. I guess it would depend on what you're using the rock for, right? So there's lots of room for ambiguous answers sometimes when people ask me these questions, right? Yeah, they want definitive answers, but the definitive answer always depends on the situation. That's really the whole point of my channel, is that every situation will have its own answer. And that's why you have to understand that you have your own expression in the physical body. You have your own expression in your life. And one person that's a great construction worker, and another person might be a great artist, and another person might be a great athlete. It just depends what is the movement of your own inspiration as well as your own natural abilities. And at some point when they both come together, that's when your expression is perfect, right? So the thing is, with exercises and training, you can dumb down your life into this small little microcosm, I guess if that's the right word, and say, okay, this is my rep, this is the way my rep looks, this is what feels right to my body, and this is the way my body responds, this is how I gain muscle, and there you go, right? Yeah, that's not a coffee maker, that's a speaker. Yes, I'm in my garage, man. I don't have a coffee maker in my garage there, Jeremy. Yeah. Okay, Guruz Matt is asking me a question, so I will try to do as much as I can here, guys, but I'm getting some different stupid questions. And Chris, I'm going to... okay, Chris is saying, why are some people strong and some people but skinny? Well, like I said, there's a number of factors that are involved in strength. One is coordination. The thing you know as strength is just balance is a word for it. Just how well can you balance the weight and move it efficiently so that you're not wasting any energy in one way or the other. And that's how they can be skinny and still move the weight. The other thing is they can have a different level of fast twitch fiber to slow twitch fiber. Slow twitch fibers are more to be with endurance, and fast twitch fiber are more power, right? So people have sometimes different percentages of that. Keith Waters, close grip bench for triceps. Yeah, you could do close grip bench for triceps. You just have to be aware that this is what triceps do, not this. So some guys will be like the elbows in and they go like this and they're going up like that. Well, if you're doing this, you're using a lot of range of motion around the shoulder, or maybe a lot of range of motion with the pec, you know, but is this the primary range of motion? Is the elbow straightening and bending the primary range of motion? And whether you do that with the elbows in or the elbows out will depend on your joint ratios and depend what's right for you, but you have to find what is the perfect sort of, I guess, combination of movements all at the same time, right? I find flaring the elbows a little bit and coming down to 90 degrees and up works the best, but sometimes just for a variation, hit a different head of the tricep, I like to keep the elbows in a little bit, right? So it just depends. Grip strength techniques. There's those little grippers you can buy, you know, where you do this with the grip and stuff. Another thing you can do is just hold on to heavy ass weight, you know, just put 315 on a bar and hold on to that shit. And I'm telling you, that will work your grip, right? So that's another way you can actually work grip. How to hit all sides of the triceps. Actually, maybe 3 different techniques you can give. Well, I do a lot of stuff that's overhead, right? But the thing is, you want to keep the elbows in as much as you can, elbows back, right? And basically feel the pressure in here. This is the most important thing. You want to feel the pressure in the muscle belly, not here. If you're feeling the pressure here, that means you're doing your elbows too far forward, you're getting too strict in this, or you're basically doing too extreme a range of motion or something like that. So you want to feel it in the belly. That's why when I'm doing tricep press downs, you never see me really bend the arm that much. I bend the arm only to about, to here and then down, here and down, because I'm trying to keep the pressure here, but not in the elbow joint itself. So you want to do different angles. One, an angle is the elbows above the head, then in front of the head, then out to the side. And then sometimes you can do that with the elbows back. That will hit different parts of the tricep. So in your arms in different positions, you'll actually hit different heads of the tricep, and you'll emphasize different parts of it. I kind of sound like Bret Hart. Yeah, maybe because he was Canadian. He was actually from a few hours, basically an hour flight away from me, 2 hours. That's where he was born. How do you explain mind-muscle connection to a beginner? It's nothing more than learning how to feel the body. That's it. It's just, a lot of beginners have done sports, right? A lot of beginners have played sports or did dance or they did some hobby in their life. So say they did skateboarding or something like that. They're very aware of what it's like when they skateboarded and they just fell down all the time, or they always, bit it, you know what I mean? Going over a jump or something. But when you explain to them, like, did you notice that after a certain point of time, you actually became coordinated? You knew when the board was going to go out from under your feet. You knew how to turn. You knew how to feel the road. You got this feeling, and then you could change and adjust your balance based on that feeling. That's mind-muscle connection. That's how you'd explain it to them. John Rich. Who's John Rich, Toucan Chew? I'm not even going to answer your comment until you tell me who John Rich is. I'm really curious about that. Yeah, Gursum Rat Sadhu, if you want to guarantee that I'll see your question, you can always donate money. But otherwise, you know what? You're going to get what you get. I'm trying my best here to answer as many questions as I can to give you free advice. So quit complaining. Okay. Oh, another guy in the comments. Okay. All right. Okay, Toucan Chew. How do you strengthen your knees? Catsby is saying, don't worry about strengthening your knees. Worry about strengthening the muscles around your knees. That's how you strengthen your knees. So leg exercises primarily. That's really it. The muscles are the first defense mechanism for the body to support and protect the joints. The ligaments are the last line of defense. So you don't want to be bouncing up and down on them. That's just going to stretch them out and tear them at some point. Hey there, son, Sapanat. Yeah, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. But nice to see somebody from Thailand. That's nice. Hey, Darren Chen, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, hack squats will get them knees sore. Also, maybe mess your knees up if they're not right for you. Just depends on the person there, H. Laker. Hack squats are just horrible for my knees. My kneecaps will hit the ceiling if I do hack squats. Yeah. Oh, I got your name right. Okay, great. Thanks. Okay. So yeah, you get pain in your knees though, and okay. So if you get pain in your knees, there's a chance that you're kind of leaning on your knees, or when you're squatting, like say when you squat, you stay totally straight up and down, and your knees just do all. Okay, I'll have to stand away from the camera. Let me see this. Okay, so say, I know you can't see me totally, but a lot of guys when they squat, right, they do this, and they just let their knees go forward and back like this, right? And they don't bring the ass in and keep the weight above the hamstrings, and that causes a lot of knee strain because they're not activating the hamstrings as they actually squat. So the activating of the hamstrings really helps protect the knee joint, just so you know. So if you guys are doing knee stuff like leg extensions or hack squats, but you're not getting that behind the leg activation of that muscle helps pull the kneecap tight and helps protect the kneecap. Okay, so Mapleberry Farm, do I still have the car from my last video? What do you mean there, Jeremy? Like my car, you mean? Like my Honda Accord? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Jeremy? Sorry, I'm just gonna... Oh, what car was I posing by? What kind of car was it? Oh, you mean, okay, you're talking about in the thumbnail. Oh no, I don't have that car. That was like from 1996. That was like way back in the day, yeah. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, okay. No, that car, I don't have that car. That car was like from 1996. That thing was a money pit. That was a 95 Trans Am. It was like a car I got obsessed with, and I bought it a year later. I bought a car a year old. And man, that thing, I had to put so much money into that thing. I had to replace the engine in it. It was like absolute nightmare. But it was a great ego car for the first little bit, but it was a good lesson for me in saying, geez, you know, buying domestic cars just for the look wasn't a good idea. So yeah, it's so funny. People are always jealous of me when I drive by in my car. I just have my, you know, winning bodybuilding contests and stuff. They're like, oh, that guy's got it all, right? Meanwhile, my Visa was racked and everything, just trying to keep that thing just in one piece. And man, that thing just bankrupted me totally. It was horrible. So yeah, no, I don't have that car, thank God. Yeah, I make more sensible choices now. If I get a fancy car in the future, if I ever do get a fancy car, it'll be like some sort of Lexus or something, some crazy thing that I don't have to put money into, but it's fancy. But yeah, that's the biggest thing now in my mind is if I get a car, dependability is like the first thing that I think about. I don't think about as much the whole like flash and cash type thing, like, you know, these Dodge Demons and all this kind of stuff and Hellcats and whatever. Those things are fast, but I can just imagine they're probably just a nightmare on the pocketbook once the warranty runs out, you know? Yeah. Yeah. Look at the sweet, right? Yeah, no, Jeremy, seriously, I had people like tell me years later, they're like, oh yeah, I hated you, you jerk, you drive by in that Trans Am, and you bastard, where, you know, you're so arrogant and cocky because you had that purple car, right? And yeah, and I had days where I thought I was king shit at the time, you know, I was young and whatever, and then I get hit with a Visa bill, or lose my driver's license from speeding, and then yeah, life would just kind of like, yeah. So, yeah, we all go through our own level of evolution, don't we? Yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's what happened to me at that age. It was pretty funny. Yeah. Gursamatsudu, any tips for a bigger bench and more chest mass? Well, vary the reps. And when you're doing super heavyweight, you don't have to go to absolute failure on super heavyweight, meaning 5 reps, you know, 5 reps, you're hitting close to failure with 5 reps. You don't want to be doing those dirty, shitty reps on the way up, right? Because that's when you can get injured. But yeah, you want to play with the heavier weight, get that groove down, and then rep out on other days. That's what you want to do. And you want to change exercises up. You want to do dumbbell presses as well as bench press. You want to do inclines and hit different angles, do dips, do decline type stuff. Do different angles and see where you're getting more of the chest activation. Experiment with your grip. Go narrower, go wider. See where you're getting more chest and where you're actually hitting failure with heavier weight. Because sometimes, you know, your grip can make a difference in how much weight you can lift as well. So right now I'm doing more of a wider grip, not super wide, but, you know, wider, so that my chest can actually move heavier weight. Whereas I was playing around with a narrower grip for a period of time just to see how that was working. And I was noticing my triceps and my shoulders were getting to failure first before my chest did. Although I was getting a good squeeze in the chest, I wasn't necessarily using the elastic energy from the chest, you know, when it's in stretch position in order to get that extra power. So now I've messed around and changed that up again, right? So yeah, these are some tips I can give you on gaining more mass and more strength in your chest. Okay, if I could choose only 2 handfuls of exercises, I don't know what a handful would do. How much is a handful there, Douglas? Two handful. Okay, let me just say 3 exercises. That'd be bench press, squat, and bent over barbell row. You know, that's what I would do. Now, if I could do 4 exercises, I'd also include the Romanian deadlift, and I would say those 3 lifts, or 4 lifts, sorry. The Romanian deadlift, the heavy bent over row, the bench press, and the squat. Those are the lifts that I would use. Yeah, 5 per hand, okay. 5. Yeah, military press, you know, H. Laker, military press is good. There's nothing wrong with military press, but because I get so much front development from bench press itself, I don't feel like I have to do military press if I was going to just include it in 3 exercises, okay? Or 4 exercises. But yes, that would be another one that I would add on to the group for overall development, because the one thing about the standing military press I do find is that it does help align the spine. So say you're standing and then first the bar's in front of you, then it comes up above you, and then your head comes forward. That helps align the upper back and the spine and everything firing at the same time. So I do think it does help with building some coordination for sure. And building overall strength, and it does hit the body from a different angle, which is really useful, right? Okay, so Catsby is saying, do I train my neck and is it pleasing to the physique? I never train my neck. This is the funny thing. There's all these guys on the internet, and actually I have an interview. I did a Q&A with a guy just a little while ago, and he's going to put it up on his YouTube channel, so I'll give you guys the link when it comes up. And I know he tries to specialize in neck training and everything, because basically what guys are doing is they're just, taking what they think people are insecure about, and then they say, hey, train this, and then that's the secret to life, right? And then people click on their videos. But the fact is, I never train my neck. You don't need to train your neck, especially for bodybuilding. And if you're doing a lot of lateral raises, a lot of bent over lateral raises, a lot of, bent over rows and Romanian deadlifts and stuff, and then you might be doing the odd shrugs, I don't think you need to be doing this, really heavy in order to get the bigger neck. There's a lot of muscles that actually get activated, like the scalenes and everything. When you're bench pressing heavy and stuff, these neck muscles actually get activated quite a bit. So I'd say if you're in a sport like wrestling or rugby or something, and you need to really specialize and work in that neck to keep from breaking your neck under a certain circumstance, or say you're in jiu-jitsu or something, yeah, I would say it's good to be doing tension on different sides and stuff, and making sure that those muscles are really strong. But for bodybuilding, I don't think that it's really necessary. You do get enough auxiliary neck work from the other exercises, I think, to develop enough. How do I tolerate the cold up there? You live in LA and the cold air makes my fingers hurt in the morning. I don't use straps. Okay, Mike Martinez, the thing is, I'm in Vancouver, so this is known as Northern California, honestly. This is Hollywood North, right? So Vancouver is really not that cold. It gets cold at certain periods of time, but it's only for like a week or two, and then it kind of warms up a little bit. Right now it's gotten cold for the last couple of days again, but it's still above freezing, so it's really not that bad compared to, like, say, the middle of Canada or the interior, like when you're away from the oceans and stuff. Then it gets a little bit colder. Or if you go north, then it's like super cold at times. But yeah, no, the Vancouver area is not super bad, although we have our, I guess you could say, cold snaps for periods of time. How do you get wide shoulders? Chris, you stop caring about getting wide shoulders, okay? Seriously, Chris. Seriously, man. Wide shoulders. What's a wide shoulder anyway? Wide this way? Wide that way? It's not about wide. It's about shape. It's about just building the overall back, and you can't change your bone structure, just so you know. So people are like, hey, how do I get wide like this? It's like, you can't really change that. What you can do is work on the delt development through lateral raises and through bent over laterals, build a three-dimensional effect. Like the presses will start working the front, but the delts have a lot of different angles, right? Some of the muscles in the delt actually just rotate. So you want to work those rotator cuff muscles as well, and that will create that more round type shoulder effect. So I think that's a really great way to get better shoulders as well. I have a whole video on it, the secret to getting bigger delts, just so you know. Mike Martinez. Well, it's because you got that Martinez in your name. So, Martinez, what background is that? Is that Spanish? If it is, then your genetics are probably used to warmer climates, right? So maybe that's part of it too there, Mike. Yeah, there you go, right? I'm part native, part white guy. Basically my genetics are from I'm part snowball, basically. So Newfoundland or the back east is where I'm originally from, and they get some pretty cold winters at times. And Mapleberry Farm, that's where he's from, is New Brunswick. He's in that area, which is the eastern Canada above New York there. For you guys in the States that don't know your geography, because most of you guys don't, especially when it comes down to Canada. You're like, Canada's just one big thing, and there's not even any provinces or anything. So, but the bottom line is that, it can get pretty cold in some of those places. So Newfoundland is a pretty cold place. That's where I was born, and that gets pretty cold because the wind comes off the icebergs off the ocean, and then you get lots of humidity and lots of snow. So yeah, it gets pretty brutal there. Yeah, if you look at my DNA, you would actually see snowflakes, probably. You probably would see it. It's funny, my wife and I went back to Newfoundland, actually, for a visit a few years ago. And the funny thing is, I'm short, I'm 5'8", or, maybe I'm less than that. And, but anyway, the bottom line, I was 5'8", and I was walking through the woods. And because Newfoundland has so much wind, right, it's just like all the time, right off the ocean. Even the summertime, it's like, the wind is just so cold. Well, anyway, when I was running through the bushes, my wife was like, you know what? You're kind of built like the trees here. I can see that this is where your DNA is from, because any tree that was too big just gets blown over. So it's probably happened with the people. The tall people probably got blown off the island, I think. That's probably what happened. That's probably why I'm short. It's a survival mechanism. I almost sound Canadian. Well, thanks. Or I think, I don't know. Sounds legit, yeah. Thoughts become things. Okay, thanks, Damien, for that. Random thoughts with Damien. Okay, so Darren Chen is talking to Chris. Okay, you're not talking to me? Okay. San Diego, it seems like a nice place there, H. Laker. Yeah, San Diego seems like a nice warm place. Yeah. Okay, Arrest Cosmos, you're talking about how about extreme feats for extreme gains? What do you mean by that? I hate this freaking lid. It keeps on hitting me in the head every time it comes up. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, Darren, you must have had a spell check problem or something like that. You said somebody else's name in your comments. So, have I ever been to Edmonton? Yeah, I've been to Edmonton quite a few times. Yeah, cold there. Damien Heckel, do I often do full body workouts? Yeah, I do. Tonight I actually did a full body, or almost. I did squats, bent over rows, bench presses, and I did a little bit of biceps, and then I was going to do some triceps, and then I decided to do a full chat with you guys. So I gave up a couple exercises for that, but pretty much whole body, yeah. But then of course I'll do lower volume, right? I'll do less volume. I won't do as many sets and stuff, so that way I can kind of move from one body part to the next. Drop sets and supersets are great to hit those other slow twitch fibers and stuff like that, right? So yeah, you want to hit all the fibers. Like I said, as a bodybuilder, you want to hit all the fibers, and you also want to pump blood in the area, so that way it helps the recovery of the fast twitch fibers. So that's where those fast twitch, that's where those drop sets and supersets and stuff can really help as well. Chris Preto, yes, you do need help. You need help to go see a counselor, my friend. Yeah, and that's okay. I'm gonna block you now, Chris, just because you're not listening. Okay, so Douglas Farmer is asking, did I ever perform explosive athletic movements like push, press, jerk, power clean, all that kind of stuff when I was playing hockey? I did it as part of bodybuilding too, just for fun. Like I do, power cleans from the floor with, or whatever you mean, what do you call them? Yeah, they're power cleans with 225 from the floor and stuff, and I can still do them. It's just that I found that when there's too much momentum, it's not necessarily effective to avoid injury sometimes. So I like to do more controlled stuff. So it just depends on your individual situation. I find that doing heavy squats, like I was one of the fastest skaters on the ice when I first started. I had no skill and no technique, and sometimes turning was a problem when I first started because I had so much horsepower, but no, I wasn't, let's just say I didn't have the sway bars installed, right? So I was like blowing tires and stuff and going to the boards, and that's how I injured my shoulder the first year I was playing. That was funny. Like I played hockey for many years, but most of the injuries happened the first year where I was uncoordinated and I didn't know how to work with this body mass that I had under skating type condition, right? So I had to learn hockey all over again. But yeah, no, I've done a lot of explosive movements. As far as if you're going super heavy, it's automatically an explosive movement, just so you know. I mean, you're doing 2 or 3 reps on squat or something like that. It's just that I found if I did that too much, it was too hard on the body and it wasn't necessarily good for overall gains or development. Crispy. Oh, it's funny. So anyway, okay. Let me see here. Okay, Arrest Cosmos, like 1,000, okay, so he's asking about extreme measures like 1,000-pound rack pulls for traps. I think, Arrest Cosmos, that doing 1,000-pound rack pulls for traps is kind of fucking stupid, to tell you the truth. Now, I know some of the guys that you're talking about that do this, and I'm not saying they're stupid. Everything's an individual thing. Okay, so anybody can do whatever they want, and I get it. I've been guilty of pushing the body to find out what the limitations are, and I think everybody can do that. But here's the thing, and this is the reason why you don't see me doing that, is because the lower back only has so much recuperation ability and the spine and stuff. And if you push it too much under one range of motion, then you may not have anything left in order to do other ranges of motion to develop the overall physique. Hence, when I want to do Romanian deadlifts, but maybe the day before I did 1,000-pound rack pulls, maybe my lower back is so destroyed that I can't do a Romanian deadlift to hit the hamstring, or I can't do a bent over row to hit the lat and the lower traps and stuff. So you kind of have to work with what are the resources in the body, and is that recovery going to impede the body. So I think with extreme small ranges of motion, like too strong, where you can go, super, super heavy weight and just strain the entire system too much, I think if anything, you will develop a shit physique from that, because you may get, this one little muscle that's developed, but then all the other parts are totally destroyed and maybe injured because you went too extreme in the weight. So there's got to be a balance. And the balance is something that you have to discover. So when you develop a balance in the body, or when you understand that, okay, if I push the joints too much, like too extreme, with just stupid ranges of motion and just like, then what happens is that you might destroy your body and you won't be able to do the other exercises that are needed. So this is why, one of the reasons why I stopped doing deadlifts on the floor. And now I'm saying deadlifts on the floor are a fine exercise, but for me they weren't, because I noticed that my lower back was so destroyed that when I went to go do a squat workout, my squat workouts were just totally trashed because my lower back was so sore that I could not push the legs enough. And it was sore in a bad way. My lower back was sore in a bad way because, I bend over like this and my arms still don't touch the floor. I gotta like bend right, almost gotta touch my own shoes with my nose in order to do a deadlift right. So anyway, the fact is that you have to kind of weigh how much recuperation ability you have in the overall joints and system. And once you do that, then you will notice that if you spend too much recuperation ability on this one tiny little exercise for this one tiny little part, and it destroys 3 other exercises and all the other body parts, then it's not really worth it, right? All right there, Jeremy, have a good one, eh? Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments here, just trying to look for. Okay, great. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Okay, how do you hit on a girl? H. Lakers say, how do you hit on a girl at the gym? Hey man, I'm not a guy to give girl advice. I was not the best girl guy in my life, but I'm not very good at playing roles with people. I just can be myself, that's the thing. So yeah, being yourself and just being nice to people, I think, pays off for the right people, but not everybody appreciates it, right? So the right girl will appreciate it, but I think the wrong girl will absolutely hate you for it. So yeah, I'm not really a pickup artist, this is just, so. Joe Skill, how do you work your lower chest? Decline type work or dip work? Yeah. Mike Martinez is sharing his advice. Maybe he's probably a better guy to listen to about girls. He's saying it's all about the flair of your voice. Hey, whatever works, man. Hi from Alaska. Okay, what's your favorite carb for a massive pump, and how soon do you work out after a meal? Sometimes I work out immediately after a meal. I know it's probably not the best advice in the world. They say you should have low glycemic carbs and work out about half hour after that or something like that, depending on your meal. It depends on what your meals are made up of too. If your meals are made up of a lot of fat and crap and everything, then working out right after a meal is pretty much impossible for me. I just would basically have to puke in a bucket, right? But if I'm working out after low fat, low glycemic carb meal and protein, I could pretty much work out almost right away. So it depends what your meal is made up of. Okay, so Christian Cooper, how do you manage your carbs to not gain too much fat during a bulk cardio? Yeah, okay, so I think it's the type of carb that is the problem. A lot of people just have carbs and they think they're all the same category. If you're having sugar carbs, it's going to be much different than brown rice carbs or oatmeal carbs, right? So if you notice you're putting on body fat, then change the choices of carbs that you're eating. But from there, if you notice that you're putting on some body fat, then what you can do is yes, cardio would be something you could do, but I'd recommend a lower intensity, not a high intensity cardio, because you don't want your body to be adapting to the cardio in a way that it's saying, okay, I want to drop muscle tissue, right? But what you want to do is you want to burn enough calories that you're burning off some of this fat and burning off some of this glycogen. But the other thing I do is I just, like I'm doing tonight, is I'm dropping carbs at night. I'm just basically going to have protein and replace all my carbs with protein and green meals, right? And I'll have 2 or 3 meals of carbs during the day, and then at night I'll start, just eating protein instead. So yeah, you have to kind of go in alignment with what is working and what's happening with your body. If you're putting on body fat, that means that you're eating too much energy food for the type of activity you're doing. So you have to kind of decide, yes, more activity or less food from the energy source. See you, mate. Kate's be saying, any tips on calf training? I actually did a video on the secret to training calves, so check that out. But small jumps in between sets of actually lifting seem to work pretty good. And you don't have to jump all the time, but once in a while it's pretty good. Well, thanks, Edward McMahon. Yeah, you're 50 next year and you're enjoying following me, and you learned so much. Yeah, no, I'm glad that you've learned some stuff because really, I think a lot of the stuff right now on the internet is overrated. A lot of people are basically getting you to train a certain way that isn't in alignment with your own body. So yeah, I think there's a tremendous amount of wisdom that each person can find in their own bodies if they really just start paying attention. And they just get rid of all the noise of what other people are telling them, and then just say, okay, what am I really experiencing right now in this moment? And how should I lift? What kind of rep ranges? What feels a certain way? And you start to get that positive feedback through feeling, through experiencing. And yeah, that can give you tremendous gains over time. I can't believe there's still 46 of you here. Yeah, Just Truth, you're right. Okay, he's saying he doesn't understand why people ask questions of things that are easily found in my videos. This is the truth, guys. Like, you guys are asking a lot of questions, but I highly encourage you, if you still have the same question, even if I have answered it already, go watch the video. You'll be helping me out by adding watch time to my channel. Please share my videos, help me get my work out there, because at this point, this video channel is not sustainable financially by any means, like not even close. So any help you guys give me by sharing some of my stuff out there, that really helps, and it allows me to continue to do this kind of content, right? So Chris P is asking about drugs. Are they bad for you? Yes, they are under most circumstances. So I would say, yeah, that would be, they are bad for you, Chris. Yes, they're bad. Do I do stomach vacuums? No, I don't do stomach vacuums. Like John Rich, what's my opinion on supinated grip and pronated grip for pull-ups? I like pronated grip better for back. But if you're going to do more for biceps, then I'd recommend supinated. Now, these are general rules. Might be different for person to person depending on your insertion points and stuff. So throw what I'm saying out the door if you notice that you're really feeling your back with that supinated grip. But for me, I find supinated, it hits my biceps way more than my back and my rear delts. Okay, Catsby is saying, how does he train the center of his chest? Don't worry about training the center of your chest. If you're squeezing at the top, you're going to get more chest development. The chest is going to hit failure, but you can't really train the center or not. It's like a rope, right? These ropes across here, you can't train this part of the rope or that part of the rope. All you can do is say overall muscle mass, then we'll bulk up the whole thing, right? That's it. So there's no real such thing as center of your chest. Really what you're saying is really, how do I build my chest? That's it. So you build the chest bigger, and then it will give that appearance of a bigger inner chest. Okay, Steven Sims is asking a good question. Do I think skull crushers are the best tricep exercise? He loves doing them, but they hurt his joints. Well, if they're hurting your joints, you're doing them wrong for you, okay? You might be doing them right according to whatever textbook you're reading or whoever you talk to. But here's the thing. A lot of times guys do skull crushers like this, and I have a video on, do you have elbow pain? Okay, so watch this. And they keep the elbows here. But if you bring these elbows back and do it, now you're going to transfer that stress. You're going to notice it's going to transfer from here more to the belly. And remember, you want that stress to be on the muscle belly, not close to the insertion point and in the joint itself. So you got to move that elbow back a bit or change the angle. Do the skull crusher on an incline. Do them overhead as well. Like, change all the angles. But don't be afraid to move your elbow back a little bit if you're noticing too much elbow pressure. And that's going to make a tremendous amount of difference. Now, the other thing is switching from barbell to dumbbell. I find dumbbell is easier on the elbows for some reason because the way the hands are facing each other. But skull crusher like this sometimes can cause a little bit more elbow pain in some people, so experiment with that as well. Catsby saying, I don't know what the O'Hearn press is, so I don't know. Okay, Chuang Nguyen is asking, do I follow any fitness YouTubers? The truth is no. I don't follow fitness YouTubers, although some have talked to me here and there. But I don't really get too much out of following fitness YouTubers because I see a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are spreading just stupidity, honestly. Sometimes, not all of them. Okay, some of them are saying some smart stuff, so I'm not saying that. But when you've been around this game for as long as I have, you see some people spreading oversimplification of things. Like saying, just don't do this because of this, and they're just giving these blind, black and white type rules. And I've already established monster results as a natural in this world, and I'm not really looking to get results from these other people. So if I'm watching somebody, it's because of entertainment reasons, because they're funny or I really like them, but there's not really much I can gain from a guy teach me how to train arms when his arms have never been above 15 inches his whole life, and he's saying, hey, here's how you get bigger arms. It's like, listen, it's like, you don't know how to get bigger arms. You haven't proven your theory yet, right? So this is it's kind of an annoying thing on YouTube. There's people that establish credibility from following. They say, oh, I've got 100,000 followers, so that means I know more about rocket science. It's like, well, no, I mean, just because you have followers doesn't mean you're a rocket scientist. And it's the same thing with bodybuilding. Just because you have followers doesn't mean you know anything about bodybuilding. It just means you have followers, right? So you get these guys with these monster channels because they had friends in the right places or something, or maybe they had luck on their side, or maybe they started YouTube at a certain time. But they're posing as experts when they have proven just by their physique alone that they're not bodybuilding experts by any means. So yeah, I don't really watch too many, although there are some guys that are way better than I am too as well. Like, so there's both extremes here. But yeah, I don't get too much entertainment out of fitness YouTubers. I watch more I'd rather watch a guy do a video game commentary or a car review or camera tech and stuff like that. So I've watched a lot of that stuff. That's so funny. Gerasimos Celindus, what is my shaving routine equipment? Your face is always, that's so funny. Yeah. Honestly, my face is the least smooth ever. I've always got, some sort of, stubble or something flying around. So yeah, I'm probably not a good guy to be asking for tips on how to look good. Chris P, can I naturally be big and ripped at the same time? Yes, look at my pictures. I've done it. I do it all the time. Even now in my videos, I'm actually pretty lean and I'm pretty big. So kind of a stupid question, Chris. Come on, man. It's like saying, hey, Jason, can you be a guy at the same time as talk to a computer screen? Well, what's, like, here I am. Like, what do you mean? Not sure sometimes. Okay, so Jason, clear this up for this asshole, please. If you used a wider grip and didn't press completely up, you're focusing more on the outside of your chest. You can't isolate your inner chest. You're focusing on your chest, period. Depending on your insertion points, they're just truth. But yeah, coming up more is not going to get more inner chest. It's just going to contract the pec more, but it's not necessarily getting the inner chest. Yes, it will possibly include the pec more, but for me, when I come up past this point, and then I come from here to here, what happens is the range of motion goes like this. So I actually include more delt and more rotator cuff. I don't actually get much more chest. So the other muscles like delts and stuff hit failure first, not actually the chest. So the whole point is you want the muscle of the group that you want to hit failure. Whatever you want to get development in, you want that muscle group to hit failure first before the other muscles. So that's where you cater the range of motion to that, based on that. Each Laker, I don't know what you're saying. Okay, so when you do a pec deck or cable fly, Just Truth is saying, you won't, even when you're coming all the way forward, you won't hit the inner chest more. What you will do is squeeze the chest overall and contract it more, but that won't necessarily work the inner part more. It works, like I said, it's a rope, okay? So yeah, you take the contraction and they all squeeze, and yeah, maybe you'll hit more chest, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get inner chest more. But you may develop more chest mass, which will give you the illusion of more inner chest. That's the difference. Gautam Suresh, I'd say 1 to 1.5 grams of protein tops is all you need for intermediate lifter of protein per day. You know, I only get about a gram per pound of body weight tops for lean mass, you know, so that's about 150 grams, 170 grams a day for me. Sudamit Lesreg, hello, he's getting lazier to get back to the gym. It's an honor to see me alive. I'm glad to be alive too. I'm glad to be alive. I think you mean live, but in case you meant alive, I'm glad to be alive too. Yeah, John Rich, to be a personal trainer, it is very easy to get a certificate. For me, one time I just did a weekend seminar with Tom Platz, and it was an open book test, and at the end of the weekend you had your certificate. So yeah, you can be an idiot and a certified personal trainer for sure. Okay, so Just Truth, I know you're having problems here. Yeah, Just Truth, I understand your frustration. The thing is that, you know, don't worry about explaining things to people. Sometimes they just, like I said, people get comfort in oversimplification of things because they're just so damn nervous that maybe they don't have it all figured out. That's just what happens. But don't worry, guys. I mean, just train, just grow muscle, just train, just be aware of what's going on in the body, feel the tension, get the failure in the muscle tissue that you need to get a failure in, and then therefore there will be an adaptation and you will continually improve. That's it. So yeah, don't worry about the specifics so much. Just Truth, can I still leave a video response? I don't think you can actually. I used to be able to. I think YouTube shut that down, so I don't think you can do video responses. I don't even know what the argument is there, Just Truth, because I'm not, I guess I'm talking about the pec thing. Is that what you guys are talking about, the pec thing? I haven't seen the other responses up here, so. Best carbs for bulking. I guess high glycemic carbs would be the best ones to bulk at some point, but the thing is, it depends on your energy, right? So the thing is, you can't bulk if you don't have the energy to work out. So that's the whole goal, is to be able to work out and to be able to put on muscle mass, right? So I'd say low glycemic carbs would be the best overall for better energy for your workouts. And then you throw in some high glycemics after your workouts, like white rice and breads and things like that, if that's when you want to eat them. Yeah, Douglas, yeah, 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein is usually more than enough. But, you know, if I'm super low carb, sometimes I have to go higher than that just because I'm craving food, so I have to eat a little bit more. But, yeah, that's a different scenario. Okay, Big Tastiaz is saying, my personal trainer looks like he doesn't lift, so should I trust his advice? I'm paying him per session. Well, I don't know. Is his advice helping you or is it hurting you? That would be a good question. And, you know, a person doesn't have to look a certain way in order to be good, just so you know. Because I could have all the, you know, I could realize how to build my physique and then I could say, oh, screw it, I don't feel like training anymore. But I could still have all that knowledge inside and still be able to help other people when it comes down to producing some results. So I guess it depends on the situation. Does the person not have results because they never wanted them, or they specialized in a different sport? Because bodybuilding is different than, say, a sport like hockey or football or whatever, right? So it just depends why they don't have results. Are they not having results because they didn't train for that type of sport, or they don't have results because they just don't know how to train? They're two different paradigms once again. So you can't look at a trainer based on how they look and say, okay, definitely they know something or they don't know something. That's the first thing. But if a guy claims to be a bodybuilder and still doesn't have results, any kind of results whatsoever, then I would say, yeah, there's a possibility that he doesn't know what he's doing. I'm not saying that he's supposed to have the same genetics as everybody else, but there is a possibility that he doesn't know what he's doing. So one thing you should do is look at the other people that he trained or she trained and say, okay, what results did she produce in them? What results did she help them achieve, right? If you can't look to them, now look what they did for somebody else. So their testimonials and stuff might be able to tell you how they function. But, you know, I've trained my mom here and there, and I've got lots of results from my mom, and then she did some experiments and training with other people because I moved out of town and I moved away and stuff, and she didn't have access to me anymore, and she had quite different results and different experiences with different trainers. So, yeah, you're going to have to kind of go on your own gut on this, but, yeah, you'll have to do your own research, I guess. I can't just make a blanket statement because there's so many different scenarios that might play into account, right? Demacot, I can't understand why my YouTube channel is growing so slow. Well, because you guys don't share it enough. That's why there, Dima. It's all your fault. No, I'm just kidding. You know, probably because I'm an ugly prick. That's probably part of it. You know, maybe if I was 20 years old and stuff and had a proper haircut or something and I wore the right trendy shit, maybe my YouTube channel would grow more. I don't know. Maybe I'm just unlikable. That's a possibility. You know, there's lots of reasons, right? I don't know. Another thing is that my YouTube channel, a lot of people misunderstand everything that I do because they look at my range of motion. They say, oh, that guy's just an egotistical jerk doing that range of motion because he's just cheating somehow, right? So this is some of the things that you know, the way I do things is it's going to cater to the thinkers of the world, but it's not going to cater to a person that just wants to blindly follow the flash and dazzle around some of the other channels, right? Like some people like, for entertainment value, just to watch a car wreck. They want to watch some disaster. And my channel doesn't really offer that, so, you know, that sensationalist sort of side of things, you know, might not be getting me out there. You know, I'm not doing some sort of controversy, you know, so like the Rich Pianos of the world and all this, you know, so that stuff is appealing on YouTube, right? You know, so yeah, but otherwise, yeah, I don't know why, but it seems to be growing pretty good now. It's just, it takes time to develop steam on YouTube. That's just kind of the way it is. And more than ever, there's everybody and their dog are claiming to be, you know, the next best expert, right? So there's a lot of information for people to thread through out there. So yeah, as they say, the cream always floats to the top at some point, and sometimes it takes some time to get there. So overnight success in 10 years, that's the way it works. Darren Chen, do I ever get to Kelowna? Not lately, but I've been there quite a bit. I've been to Kelowna. Why there, Darren? Are you in Kelowna? Alessandro Fadini, eh? Alessandro Fadini. It's Italian, I guess, right? I have had a herniated disc and it's a disc bulge, and yes, it did heal over time, but I had to do some rehabilitation work, such as laying on a Swiss ball, you know, those bouncy balls. You lay on it and then you lift one leg at a time to help rehabilitate that area and establish the mind-muscle connection. And yeah, I had to avoid a lot of squats and stuff for periods of time and just take it easy on that area. So yeah, there is definitely a healing that goes on. I have the benefit of being in contact with my brother. He does prolotherapy and stuff to help stabilize the spine as well. So that's something that you might want to look into is different types of rehabilitation and massage therapy as well for the structure, right? Because if the muscles are functioning right, it also helps prevent the wear and tear on the vertebrae and, the disc. Ed McMahon, do I still train with my brother? Yeah, I just trained with him last night in his garage, actually. We just trained last night. He doesn't watch his diet right now, though, Ed. My brother doesn't watch his diet as much, so he's like at a higher body fat percentage, but he still trains, but he's not worried about, you know, being super strict and whether he has abs or not, right? So you could say he's in a perpetual bulk right now. He's not really worried about cutting up. A lot of times based on his schedule and his constraints, you know, raising a family and working and everything, it's just easier for him to eat the way he wants to eat. So he's not necessarily worried about that, but his strength is strong. He's still bench pressing 315 for reps and still squatting lots of weight and everything. He's still in good shape. So, you know, from a bodybuilding or lifting weights point of view. H. Laker, is cardio killing your gains? Possibly, because you're playing basketball, right? I remember our conversations from before. Yeah, Darren Chen, yeah, Edmonton is cold. That's definitely true. Okay, just truth. If you squeeze your arms straight out, the chest doesn't contract as much or shorten completely. Thus, the center doesn't feel contracted completely. It depends on how, it depends. From here to here, if the arm comes in more, there, just truth, there is more of a squeeze in the chest. But the thing is, the question is that by doing this, are you hitting failure? Is your delts coming in exponentially more in order to have that happen? Because as your arm comes in more, a lot of times this happens where it comes up, okay? So it's like range of motion, bing, see, like this? Because as you squeeze more, your arms come above the elbows. You know what I'm saying? When you're bench pressing. So this brings in the delt. So sometimes the delt will hit failure first. So yeah, you're right. Sometimes going more higher doesn't necessarily get the chest more. So hence you get more shoulder development than chest. And that's not really what you want from bench press, right? Okay. Same thing with fly though. If you fly like this and then you come from here to here, the tension is gone now because the dumbbells are above your shoulders, right? So when you're doing flies, there's no more tension here. So moving from here to here, there's no tension on the pec. The actual tension has actually left the pec, right? Okay, on cables, there you go. Okay, now cable, you're funny as hell, you know that? Because you keep on just throwing different things. So anyway, cables, the tension's going out that way. So yes, of course, now when you're coming close, you are actually still hitting that pec, yeah. So, man, I feel like I was at an auction there for a second, you know. Cables, flies, bench press, can I get another? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, on cables, you will get more chest if you're coming closer together, like, because you're just extending that range because the tension's staying on there. So just know if the tension's staying on there and you're feeling like it doesn't leave, then yeah, then by all means. Okay, so Darren Chen, okay, you see some basketball players, they have lean shoulders, not big shoulders. There is a difference, okay? Second of all, gains in the shoulders isn't gains overall in the whole body. Do you understand? Like when a guy's lifting his arms like this all the time above his head and, you know, fighting for the ball and doing like explosive movements like jumping like this and stuff, you can get some shoulder work. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be getting leg work, lat work, chest work, all this kind of stuff. So the shoulders are one muscle group that sometimes just by holding arms up and stuff, they do develop as far as they get leaner and stuff. But if you're running all the time, these guys aren't squatting 1,000 pounds, I'll tell you that. And they're not like sitting with 40-inch legs, you know, quadriceps, even though they're 7 feet tall. That's not happening, so yeah. So sometimes, this is the other thing that really is funny about YouTube. And I'm not saying you're this, Darren, so don't take an insult from this, what I'm saying. But people mix up size with how lean you are all the time. Like, you'll see a guy that's 165 pounds, and then because he has abs, people are like, oh God, that guy's such a great bodybuilder. It's like, listen, it's like, no. When you lean down, that isn't bodybuilding. That's just one small part of bodybuilding, but it doesn't mean you're big. But it looks good in a picture, and it looks like your person's more three-dimensional because they lean down. Hence the reason why bodybuilders cut before a bodybuilding show, right? The other thing that's funny is that when I posted a picture of myself, I'm actually bigger now than I was in 96 in so many different ways. But because I had a pro tan on and because I was leaned down for a contest, but mostly the tan itself, people are like, my God, you look so great. It's honestly, it's a tan. Mostly it's a tan, just a shirt off and a tan, right? So I'm probably going to do a photo shoot in a couple weeks and just see what those pictures turn out like. I'll tan myself up a bit and see how that turns out, and we'll see. But anyway, it's really funny. Edward McMahon, are aminos and amino acids good to take? Yeah, I think so. Branched chain amino acids, I think, can be helpful. Yeah. Jay Moline, do I offer personal one-on-one training? Yeah, I do. I don't do it too often, but I'm in Vancouver, so I don't know how you know, I don't know where you're from. I'm in Harrison Hot Springs in the Chilliwack area. I will train people. I will do consultations if they want. I don't do a lot of it, but I do it from time to time. Just Truth, I don't know what EAAs are. I know EA, which is a video game company, but I've never... No, EAAs, I've never used those, no. BLPEROCY, am I live at this time of night? Well, the reason why is because I worked out till about 10, my time, and then that's why I'm live here. So you might be at a different time zone, I don't know where you are, but that's why I'm live. I didn't feel like doing editing till 2 in the morning again, so. J. Mullen, Oregon, okay, so you're about a 5-hour drive below me probably, 5 hours, yeah. Antrius G, if you eat white rice 4 to 5 times a day, is it bad for health? I think anything done forever the same probably could be bad for health, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just depends what's going on with your body. You want to have some protein with that carb in order to stabilize it. And yeah, if you have goals like fat loss and stuff, there would be better options than white rice, but yeah, I don't think it's bad. Alessandro Fedini, yeah, 3 a.m. in New York, that's right, NYC. BLPEROC is saying he's going to show up in my gym. Okay, yeah, I don't know where you're from there. I guess it depends where you're from, whether you're going to be able to show up in my gym or not. And the thing is, a lot of times I just work out at home, so you'll never know when I'm at the gym. That's the funny thing. Sweet Nicholas, eh? Nice. Nice, some people from Sweden, that's awesome. It's the damn it, Lazarek. Any tips to get shredded? First, gain some muscle, and then it's easier to get shredded. That's the best thing I could tell you. A lot of people just focus on getting shredded right away, but they have no muscle, no metabolism, so they just diet everything off, and then they lose their muscle too. So you want to gain muscle, then you have a metabolism, and then from there, you slowly lower the energy foods from your carbs or your fat. And then from there, as you lower that down a little bit, your body will start to just trim just slightly, lose about a half a pound to a pound of weight a week. And then from there, over a period of 7 or 8 or 12 weeks and stuff, you start to get closer to that shredded thing you so desire. Darren Chen says something's effed. Oh, okay, he's talking about somebody else, okay. All right. Mike Martinez, I don't measure my blood pressure, but yeah, blood pressure can deviate sometimes, it can deviate in people, sometimes depending on your water retention and stuff you have that day, how much carbs you had as opposed to some other day, too much coffee maybe, or tea or something, that can deviate your blood pressure for sure. Douglas is asking me if I'm going to decorate my home with new lights and stuff. Actually, my wife has been doing that quite a bit. I'm not much of a home guy as far as, decorating and stuff. Sometimes I put some lights around the front door a little bit, but that's about it. I don't really, I'm not like Clark Griswold where I get on the roof and then start, doing all the lights and shit. First of all, because if I staple my roof and my tiles, I don't want to put a leak in my roof because I'm stapling these lights on there. Second of all, then you got to take this stuff down, right? Which is sometimes a pain in the ass. Yeah, so yeah, we'll see. Darren Chen, do I work a job out of YouTube? Mostly I work on YouTube and I sell programs from my website. I sell my music on my website, and then I have another website that deals with meditation and spiritual counseling and all this kind of stuff. I deal with people, I help them that way with their meditation practice. So that's the majority of the work I do. And then I wrote a book, and there's royalties that come in from writing that book. And then from there, I also do consultations, right? So that's how I work. I have 2 things that I do work with. Now, as far as the videography and stuff, I also do videos for people. If they need a video for their business or something, I can go in there and do videos. So that's another thing I do on the side as well. So yeah, in between, spiritual meditation consultations with people, selling my music on that website as well, selling the book I wrote about that whole process, as well as my YouTube and stuff. That's kind of all combined together for my living. And then I assist my wife with her work, where she runs a course online with her students. So I help her with that as well, from the marketing, promotion, and the teaching and guiding of people. So I do a number of different things. But my goal is basically to get the YouTube channel going as much as possible, and yeah, that's it. Andreas G, a Smith machine for chest or regular chest? I'd say both. I think they're both good. Yeah, Shea Niazi is saying, during a bulk, do you have to focus on gaining weight or just focus on getting strong? I'd say strong, really. Strong, and you will gain weight naturally. But if you're getting stronger, that's the point. The thing is, we all know that if you get as fat as a walrus, that's not necessarily going to help your bodybuilding gains. And the thing is, you might think that you're getting stronger, but you're really not. Say you're on the bench press, right? Like you see a lot of the guys, they're just like, they look like sumo wrestlers and they're bench pressing. You're naturally going to be able to push more weight. Why? Because you've got all that springy type fat tissue in there, just springing the joint forward because, you can't even move. Basically, you look like Cartman from South Park. So yeah, you're able to put more weight up. But are the muscles actually doing the work, or is it just a springy type sensation from the fat tissue stretching your skin and your fascia, So I think a lot of times when guys bulk, they actually get too fat, and yeah, they get a little bit of strength for a period of time, but there's a point of diminishing return. So I think once you get over 15% body fat, I think you're going way overboard. And I don't think it's really necessarily going to translate into gains on a bodybuilding stage, because a lot of times then when guys have to lean down, they end up losing a lot of their muscle at the same time, because they're trying to lose all this body fat, and all the pressure to lose all this body fat, they actually end up losing muscle. So yeah, strength is not always an indicator if you're getting super fat, because just the body weight alone will cause you to be able to lift more weight. So say you're on the bench, now 315 is not moving you as much because you're fatter, right? So now you don't have to stabilize your body so much, so now it's easier to push that weight up. So that's something to kind of watch out for. So I always say that if you're getting above 10 to 15% body fat, then you're pretty much, You're in a different sport than bodybuilding, let's put it that way. It's not the best way to get your bodybuilding gains going. Just Truth, what music do I listen to when I work out? Sometimes I listen to 80s music. I listen to like Tears for Fears and all that kind of stuff, or I listen to my own. Yeah. Alessandro Fedini, when I was 18 years old, I deadlifted wrong. So when I was deadlifting wrong, I was rounding my lower back because my dad taught me just deadlift, just pull the weight, and I didn't know what keeping my back flat was about. I didn't really know that, and nobody taught me, right? And even the muscle magazines really didn't talk about it, and so I didn't know. So anyway, yeah, I ended up herniating a disc, and it screwed my whole martial arts career up because lifting my left leg to kick and stuff was just an impossibility for a few years, because I pinched the disc so badly. But yeah, I learned from it. A lot of the stuff that I'm teaching on this channel is because I learned from some mistakes along the way. It's not because I just kind of came up with a theory. So yeah, so you're welcome. How long did it take to recover? Well, that lower back injury kind of plagued me for about, I'd say, let me see, it plagued me for a good 4 or 5 years, to tell you the truth. But knowing what I know now, it wouldn't have plagued me as long because I have access to prolotherapy like my brother. I know about that type of therapy, and I know the power of massage therapy, which I didn't know at that time. If I would have went into massage therapy right away, that would have really helped. So I think I would have basically put my recovery in half or maybe 20%. I think within a year I would have recovered from it. But I could still train around it. Don't get me wrong. I was still training and still doing squats and stuff, but I had to really be careful and really kind of be aware of what's going on, right? So, 4 half body sessions a week or 3 full bodies. I'd say 5 to 6 half body sessions or 4 or 5 full bodies. That's the way I like it. But I mean, it might be different for you. John Rich, how does overtraining feel to me? It feels like I get weaker every single time I step in the gym. It feels like I'm flat, and it feels like I almost have the flu. That's what overtraining feels like. Yeah. Yeah, Toucan Shoe. Check out my channel if you want. You're talking about meditation channels and stuff. I have music. I have something called Jason Gallant music too, where there's just some stuff like meditation music I put on there once in a while. I'm not really that active on that channel. But then I have the other channel called Jason J. Gallant, which is Satsang, which is just contemplation about who you truly are and all that kind of stuff. So you might get some benefit from that if you're interested in the whole meditation thing. Yeah, H. Laker, you might like the Jason J. Gallant channel. That's what it's called. And jasongallant.ca is the website, so check that out if you want. Zach Forbes, what do I think of fake natties? Yeah, well, yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, there are some fake natties out there, and then there's some real natties that are being accused of being fake natties. So that's kind of the other issue, right? But yeah, what do I think of people using drugs to get muscle? I think it's just stupid. I actually think it's stupid. And there can be some very nice people that are doing this, but it's not really a long-term thinking, in my opinion. And the thing is, if you really love training, wouldn't you want to train the rest of your life? Wouldn't you want to train when you're 70 just as much as when you train when you're 20? And doing it's kind of like putting nitrous oxide in a car. It's not the best way to get the most mileage out of the engine or lifespan. And I think a lot of guys think that they can cheat the system and somehow there's no price to pay. And yeah, for 10 years or 20 years, sometimes there is no price to pay, but in the end, there's always a price to pay. So yeah, I just do my thing. The only thing I can't stand about the whole fake natty thing on the internet right now is that people will look at those guys and then paint me with the same brush, and then it prevents me and this person from having a relationship. And that's the big problem I have with it. But otherwise, people can do whatever they want. I mean, we got people doing all sorts of shitty things to themselves all over the world, so hey, who am I to stand in the way of stupidity, right? Yeah, Douglas, you can talk about guys taking stuff, whatever that is that you're saying he takes. I don't even know what that is. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. If that's a carb drink or something, what is it? Okay, so Mike Martinez, you've never done any meditation, always felt that the gym was your therapy. What do you feel you've gained or cured from it? Well, here's the thing, Mike, okay? The gym is a great meditation. I'm not saying that it's not something that's really good, but the problem is a lot of times when you go to the gym, there is still a you going to the gym, right? There's still a Mike going to the gym. And then there's a Mike exercising. There's a Mike lifting the dumbbells. Then there's a Mike that's getting something out of this, right? So the problem is that there's still Mike. So all the problems and everything that happened with Mike, all the experiences of life, all the history that is plaguing Mike, all the stress that's there is still there when you go to the gym and then when you leave. Except for there might be a little bit of elevation of that experience, but then you got all that other garbage in there too, right? Well, real meditation is about letting go of Mike. It's about letting go of your entire identity, forgetting everything that you know to be true about yourself, the universe, anything, and then you blip out and then something new emerges, which is something different than the thought of Mike. Different than the identity that is Mike. And from that, there can be this unbelievable state of experience that happens also. And that's something that can't really be explained, but it can be experienced at some point with practice. So yeah, that's why there's spiritual teachers to help people guide them into this, right? Guide them into their false identification. That's what it's called. You aren't really Mike. That's the whole point. So anyway, when you realize this, and what I mean by realize is you experience this, then you realize that, oh wow, there's a lot of stuff that I think about myself that is very limited, not necessarily true. Kind of like a 3-year-old thinks a certain way about him or herself, and then when they're 10, they think something totally different, and then when they're 20, they think something totally different. So obviously the thoughts that you have about yourself aren't the entire truth, they're just stages, right? So when you realize that any thought that you have that's causing suffering within you, that it's just a stage and you can let it go, then there's something underneath all of that that is the true you, which is what you fall into, right? Yeah, Zed, fake natties are the cancer of the bodybuilding community. I'd say not just fake natties, I'd say bodybuilding, period. I would say that the drug bodybuilding, period, is a cancer on the entire community because the glorification around the cheating phenomenon and the using of substances has totally diminished the efficacy, if that's the right word, of weight training itself and diet and just how good it can be for you just to basically lift, train, and eat a certain way. And the beautiful magic that happens in the body just from that. So I think that's kind of the tragedy. It's a thing I couldn't stand. It's the reason why I started training and going into natural bodybuilding shows was because I couldn't stand this drug addict phenomenon that was going on, where people just assume that if you had muscles that you must be a drug addict. And because of that, I basically said, okay, I'm going to compete and prove to these people I'm natural. So I took my polygraph test, I did my urine test, all this kind of stuff, and then people still said, oh, well, no, you could probably cheat on that, whatever, you know, and I'm like, okay, fucking great, right? Like, you can only prove so much to the world, but at some point, you know, you just say, screw it, I'll just walk my path and whatever, right? But the fact is that it pisses me off that something that takes so much work and so much dedication and can be such a healthy thing is looked down upon because of these other people that have painted it with this shitty-ass brush with substance abuse, right? You know, the thing is, exercise is a wonderful thing. It doesn't have to include substance abuse. Tricep exercise for strength, for bigger bench press. I'd say close grip bench. Yeah, Douglas Fairmere, you're saying, just to be clear, you're not promoting anybody's products or anything like that on my channel, simply responding to question. Yeah, no problem. I didn't take it that way. Thanks, Douglas, for saying so, though. You know, and the truth is that, you know, one day I might promote a product, or I might actually create a product with my brother or something. There is a possibility that I might do that. Like, you see me drinking branched chain amino acids and stuff, so I said, hey, why can't I create my own and sell that instead of promote a product for somebody else, right? Because the problem is that if you promote a product for somebody else, you don't really know what they're putting in the product, first of all. You don't really know 100%, unless I take it to a lab and find out. And at the same time, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I could find a way to create a product which is like different and more about health, you know, and more like an energetic and health tonic. And so anyway, that's something that I'm investigating at some point. You never know. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, I don't know. And my eyes aren't bugging out. I'm just freaking tired, man. What the hell? It's late. Who's this that said my eyes? Jay Moley, my eyes are bugging out. It's only because I'm so close to the camera. And this is like a wide angle lens. This is just my phone camera, so it makes you look kind of weird. My eyes aren't bugging out. Asshole. Jay, come on, man. You're better than that. You don't need to make comments like that. I know you're one of the nice guys. Yeah, and Toucan Chew, Gary, yeah, real actual food is always the right way to go, and it is the best thing. 100%, I agree with that. And that's why I don't really promote supplements that often on this channel, because they're not necessary as far as absolute truth. You know what I'm saying? The food is the first priority. How you eat is the first priority. Supplements are just something to add and to help, right? But they're not necessarily needed, 100%. Okay, Petros is saying, thanks for the videos. Just wonder if 2 workouts per week enough for each muscle. I think so. It can be. It depends on the volume and everything. A lot of factors here. General question, once again. Welcome to YouTube, the place of general questions. But yeah, 2 workouts a week. 1 workout a week can be right for some people. It depends on your fiber content, depends on how much fast twitch fibers you have in comparison to slow twitch, depends on your genetics, recovery ability, all that kind of stuff. All right, H. Laker, have a good one, man. Enjoy that San Diego weather. What time is it? It's basically 12:20 right now. That's what it is, Ed. Andrew Joel. Okay, I'm going to straighten out my neck here because you just made a comment that doesn't make sense. But he said, what's my take on 15 to 20 rep sets? Watch my videos, man. Watch my videos. Seriously, I have 400 of them. That library, I have so many workouts, so many workout vlogs and stuff you can go through. And you're going to see that I have quite a bit of high rep workouts and low rep workouts. I have so much. And then how many reps should you do? I have I have a video on that. And basically this is like, honestly, it's easier for you to just go watch the videos and you'll know what I do. Because if I do something, that means I must like it, right? So I'm doing high rep sets all the time, and I'm doing medium rep sets, and I'm doing low rep sets, so I must like that. So anyway, watch the videos. You get a lot out of them, seriously, rather than this Q&A kind of drive-through bodybuilding sort of thing. Yeah, I encourage you to watch the videos. Gary Duarte, the meaning of life is to serve others. Yeah, there you go. Christian, any fitness channel collabs to help grow the channel? Well, there's one guy that reached out to me, and I'm going to give you guys the link in the next video that I post. When he posts the video up, he's collaborating with me, and he just wanted to do a Q&A like this with me based on training and what I know to be true about training. And so him and I talked, and he's going to post that up. So I did that. He's got about 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers. And but yeah, as far as getting a big YouTuber to collab with me, really big, that's not really going to happen most likely, because I sell my own programs, I sell my own t-shirts, and then these guys will see you as competition in some cases, so they're like, they don't want to share their audience with you, because basically you're stealing their customers, right? So that's kind of how YouTube works, right? And I don't really blame them, because YouTube is a business, and once they make it sustainable, they're going to want to kind of collaborate with somebody with a subscribership or a viewership that will benefit them, right? So the whole goal is, when you do a collaboration, is that the viewership from one YouTuber goes to the other and vice versa. So they basically make this exchange. So that's how they get paid for the collaboration. So yeah, nothing on tap yet. But as I grow in subscribers, then you do get other people approaching you saying, hey, I'd like to actually work with you, right? All right, see you, Joe. Okay, I don't do intermittent fasting, Dakota, so I don't do that. Don't believe in it. Andrews G, unfortunately, I'm allergic to fish. Do you know any supplements without fish? Well, protein powder doesn't have fish in it, so what do you mean by that? Okay, so Petros is saying, would you then do more volume if training muscles twice a week? Yeah, if you're used to training muscles 3 times a week, and then you're going to do less frequency, then if you do less frequency, then you would have to increase the sets or the volume in order to compensate for that. And my definition of volume is how many sets you do. It's not the reps. Some people say volume is reps. I say how many sets to failure that you do, that's volume, okay? So you're doing 6 sets and you're training that body part 3 times a week. Well, then if you're only training it twice a week, maybe you need to do 8 sets, maybe 9 sets. You know, it's up to you. Supinated Lesreg. Yeah, your English must be getting better. Yeah. Yeah, see ya, Ed. Have a good night. Have I ever tried intra-workout carbs? Well, you'll notice that I actually have a mocha a lot of times when I'm in the carbs. Like I have like non-fat mochas and stuff. So there's obviously lactose and some sugar in there when I'm actually working out. So I do notice that. I do like that. I get a kick from that. What of a poo? You don't have to actually have high caffeine per workout. You don't have to. I mean, it can help you burn some fat and everything, but at the same time, it can have some negative effects at some point too. Dakota Bernal, it's not that intermittent fasting is bad for you. It's just that whenever your body is in a place of starvation, it's not necessarily going to be eating its fat tissue. Like people say, oh, it's just going to eat the fat tissue. No, it'll actually eat your muscle tissue. So when there's not amino acids available, then your body says, okay, where do I get amino acids now? And it goes right into the muscle tissue. That's how your body stores amino acids. So whenever I've done intermittent fasting by mistake, what's happened is I go in the gym and I get no pump, my workout's horrible, and just everything's shitty. So smaller, flatter means less bodybuilder, right? So the whole point is to build the body, not to let it just disintegrate. And fasting causes it to disintegrate, to basically eat itself, right? So that's not bodybuilding. Some people say, oh yeah, it works for them, whatever, for short periods of time. I don't really think so, but whatever. Okay, that's good. Cricket powder. Douglas Ferrum is talking about cricket powder. Yeah, that might be good, actually, protein source. Who knows? I'd try it. Sudhamed Lesreg, yeah, he'll visit from Algeria. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, maybe one day we'll see you there, big guy. Yeah. Yeah, Just Truth. Yeah, I've tried some grass-fed protein out there and stuff like that, and I think that would be a good idea. Grass-fed protein would be great. Yeah, I think there's some good powders out there. And Douglas, you're right. Bugs are in the future of protein. I believe that 100%. And I don't think they would taste that bad, honestly. It's just the concept that people get squeamish about. But honestly, eating calf liver or baby calf liver or cow liver is not necessarily, glamorous concept either. But it's got a lot of nutrition in it. So, yeah, I think that's where it's going. Yeah, Dakota Bernal, you're talking about, you heard that you have to go long periods of time of fasting for it to go to your muscle. And I would say bullshit on that. Not that you're at fault here. I know that's what you heard. You're not saying it. I know you heard that. Because if you notice when you do something with your diet and consistently, every time you do that thing with your diet, you go to the gym, you're weaker, you're getting less of a pump, and you have less endurance. Guess what? That is a sure sign that your body is eating muscle tissue and it is not growing. That's a sure sign. So you have to take this into account. So that's why the gym is neat. It's kind of like a racetrack. So when you go into the gym, you can see how does the fuel work? How is the fuel working in your body? And if your body is showing you a negative response, then that means obviously there's something lacking. Okay. Sorry. Darren Chen, I don't know what you're talking about. A lot of comments are coming up all at the same time. I'm scanning through the comments, but there's a lot of them that come up, so sorry if your comment isn't there. Like I said, you know what, Darren, if you want to make sure that I see your comment, there's something you can do. You can actually give me $1, and then it goes into the super chat, and then from there, I'll be guaranteed to see your comment. So otherwise, you don't have any reason to complain, because I'm doing this for free for you. So don't you dare complain to me, Darren. Don't you complain. Okay, how about a 2 for 15 deal on my tunes? Well, I have 3 albums there, Just Truth, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I figured they're actually pretty cheap already. It's only $10 an album, so I figured that was pretty cheap. They're Just Truth. I didn't think it was actually that expensive, but. What's the best method to lose an ego? Zach Forbes. That's a really good question, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good question. What's the best method to lose an ego? Unfortunately, for most people, it's suffering. It's when life comes in and absolutely totally crushes everything that you know to be true, takes away everything that you were successful at, and absolutely totally destroys it. That's a pretty fast way to lose the ego, because you're forced to say, oh shit, I'm not this. I'm not this thing that I was so good at. Now who am I? And I think a lot of athletes go through this when they get a career-ending injury. A lot of rich people go through this when they lose their money. Lots of stuff like that. So yeah, that would be the fastest way to lose your ego, or at least the fastest opportunity. Not necessarily does everybody that goes through that lose their ego, but sometimes people do. And that's why sometimes it can be a very enlightening process. Hey, there he is. Darren Chen's still here. Big aha. Okay. You're like, you're laughing at me now. Darren, are you misbehaving still? Do you still have a question, Darren? You can put it in there. You can keep putting it in there. Alessandro Fedini, facepalm. He's facepalming something. Okay. Yeah, so Darren's being an asshole now. Darren, stop that. Okay, so what's the next question here? Vazda alias, is there a circumstance you think a small window of fasting might be beneficial for burning fat? Maybe before cardio, maybe low intensity cardio, there's a possibility that might force your body to access fat stores at a lower intensity than, say, having a lot of carbs in your system, but that's just a theory. Yeah, Darren, you don't need to be an ass. Come on, man. So just stop it with all the stupid shit. I mean, I know you're trying to kind of just be funny or whatever, but, come on, just show a little bit of respect for other people here, because the problem is people that do the stuff that you just did, we're spreading a lot of hate on my live chats and stuff like that and doing this kind of stuff, so I'd have to ban them. So if you don't want to be lumped in that category, then kind of try to be a decent human being so I don't have to come to Edmonton and kick your ass or something, so because you're close enough that I might do it. Okay, thanks, Darren, because I know you're a cool guy. I know that already, so that's why I haven't banned you even though you're doing that. Because, yeah, exactly. But, so yeah, I just don't want you to accidentally get lumped in with the troll type guys that I've had come on here, which are like, they're just horrible human beings coming on here, just doing all sorts of weird shit. So anyway, yeah, thanks, buddy. Yeah. See, that's the thing about this channel. I've actually noticed, like, the neat part I like about this channel, and this is why I'm up so late actually doing this for you guys, because I knew I wasn't going to get a video in tonight, so I wanted to make sure that you guys got a little bit of some video footage and stuff. I want to keep my content pretty consistent for you. There's been some pretty amazing guys on this channel, and a few of them support me on Patreon. Not everybody can support me on Patreon, which is fine, but I'm really happy about the quality of people that have been showing up. So thanks to you guys for being open and just having these conversations and stuff, right? So it's kind of neat having a community of people that are kind of like-minded and think outside the box a bit and allow not only themselves to be who they are, but other people to also be who they are, so they can find the truth in their training, So I really appreciate you guys being here. I really do. So that's why I'm here, for an hour and a half on chat at this time of night, Yeah. So I get a lot from you guys. So even when you're not commenting on my videos, I always appreciate it when you do, and I try my best to answer your comments when I can, or at least answer with a video or something. Because you guys are real people to me. You're not just people leaving a comment. So just so you know, I really do. This is not a normal YouTuber you're dealing with. Like a lot of the YouTubers out there, they just they have numbers below them, in some cases, because they just become so big that they just can't interact personally with everyone. But the neat part about my channel is that it's small enough that I still can do that. So yeah, I really appreciate it every time you guys comment, every time you're enthusiastic, and every time you actually even care about what I'm posting. I really appreciate that you support my work, so thanks for that. Okay. Somebody said, can you have uneven lats from the front? Yes, you can. And sometimes what will cause that is, like, say, a dislocating shoulder thing like I have. So sometimes you have a different lat connection. When you're posing, you're actually not able to fire the other lat properly or bring the shoulder blades across as much because the shoulder is hypermobile. That can sometimes happen. But it's normal to have a little bit of unevenness in your physique, so don't worry about that. Thanks, Darren. No, thanks for sharing my stuff, Darren, and telling your football classmates about my videos and stuff. That really helps me out, so I do appreciate that stuff when you guys help me too. Yeah, just truth, you're right. Everything is uneven a little bit. There's going to be one arm a little bit bigger than the other, one calf bigger than the other, one hamstring different, and sometimes there's slight scoliosis in the spine and all this. It's kind of normal. You want to try to, balance things out by doing unilateral movements like one arm at a time or one leg at a time and stuff, but in the end, you're always going to have a slight imbalance, in my opinion. Partial reps don't necessarily cause a hernia, but if you have a hernia, that'll cause a hernia, or if you have like a muscle pull, if you're straining yourself too much, that can cause a hernia, and you don't have your stomach in the proper area or a proper way, like you don't know how to activate your core, that can cause it. Okay, Daniel Malente is saying, what's my opinion on weightlifting Olympic style for general athleticism? I think anytime that you explode and fire the core, it can help your athleticism, for sure. But it depends what sport, right? So people talk about athleticism, but they don't think about what sport. Like, I know that there was a bunch of hockey coaches out there talking stupid shit about squatting, and they'd say you have to squat ass to the grass or super low in your squat in order to become a better skater. But the truth is, when you're on the ice, you barely ever bend the leg more than 90 degrees, and that's where the range of motion is really being, pushed through all the time when you're skating. So in those circumstances, then a 90-degree squat would be a much better way or a better range of motion for a skater, in my opinion. And in my experiment, it was. When I did ass to the grass squats for a year, I actually got slower on the ice as opposed to when I was doing 90-degree squats with heavier weight. So that's the thing. You have to take into account which sport. So there's no such thing as general athleticism. That's the one thing that's a misnomer out there, where they say, oh, you do one exercise this way, and then it's generally better and applicable to everything. If you're doing Olympic lifting, but it's not right for you, how good is an MCL tear going to help you with your sport, right? How good is a dislocated shoulder going to help you with your sport? You put the bar over your head, but it's not the right range of motion, and you pop your shoulder out or you screw your knee up because it's just not the right type of movement for your body. Is that good for your sport? No, it's not. It will destroy you in your sport. So this is where the logic has to be, really realized by most people. There's not an exercise that's perfect for everyone. If that exercise is perfect for everyone, then yeah, everybody would do it and they'd all be star athletes. But the fact is that some exercises will injure you more than help you if they are too extreme in the range of motion and the momentum, Christian Cooper is saying, fix an imbalance for say the biceps, would you just do a couple more reps on the weaker side? You could do that. You could. There's no reason why you couldn't. Okay, Zach Forbes is saying, for bulking and gaining size, would I recommend strength or hypertrophy for a program? So I'd say you do the strength program and then you do the hypertrophy program, but you do both. Both of those are in there. It's not really an either or. They both kind of go hand in hand. It's like there's a synergism between the two. So I'd recommend doing both. Not maybe at the same time, but you have periods of time where you concentrate on strength and then parts of time where you concentrate on hypertrophy, right? So yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't do both. Darren Chen saying, am I going to do these live chats more often? I'm going to do most of them for the Patreon subscribers at this point, the people that are supporting my channel, and I need to kind of offer something that is special for them because they are, giving me a couple dollars a month to help me with this channel. So the fact is that that's where my live chats are going to be mostly. And the odd time, maybe I'll jump on here, but it's not going to be something that's regular or scheduled. So just once in a while, it might happen once every couple months or something when I feel the inspiration strike. Yeah. Dan Summerhill, he wants to see more cooking and meal videos. Yeah, I can do that. I just didn't think you guys would be interested in that. It's kind of boring to me, but yeah, it's always helpful when you guys say what you want to see, because a lot of times I'm doing videos here, but you know, I'm really always dependent on what you guys want to see. So if you give me some suggestions, I'll definitely take it into account. If there's going to be people viewing the stuff, I just look at the views, and if there's lots of views and likes, then I make more videos on that. That's kind of why the likes are kind of necessary. When somebody likes a video, then I kind of get a positive reinforcement to say, okay, this is the type of content that people need from me, right? Oh, thanks, Sneakers on Pedals. I'm glad that I helped you out a little bit. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for tuning into my other videos. So, you know, I've got lots of stuff that's coming up. I'm going to be doing a lot more career highlights videos. I got like different photos, but each video that I do on career highlights takes me about 6 or 7 hours to edit and everything, because I have to scan in all the photos and then, you know, do the talking and do the different video footage and everything. But I'll be doing different career highlights as well. And the workout vlogs, I'm not quite sure if you guys like those or not, because sometimes I find that the workout vlogs aren't getting the same views as, say, just when I talk about a certain subject. So again, I'll be kind of looking to you guys to, you know, give me some sort of feedback on that and see if that's what you want to see. If you like it when I'm doing workout footage in the gym or not. Like, is that something entertaining to you anymore? Is that just boring? What is it, right? Yes, a Christian, it is rewatchable. You can rewatch this in the gym or whatever. Yeah. Citamed, what you can do to help me out is just share my videos on your Facebook or any sort of social media that you're on. That really helps, for sure. I don't know who Thomas Delore is, so sorry, Dakota. Zach, do I watch any fitness YouTubers? Not really, no. Okay, good. Okay, I think I got the questions. If I missed any of your guys' questions, just let me know. Yeah. John Rich, how do I make a living now? I answered this earlier in the video. That's the thing when you do a 2-hour video. People don't know that I already answered this question. But my wife and I, she runs something called the Wisdom Life School, which has to do with enlightenment and self-development in the meditation sort of path. So she runs a course, and she's also a very gifted energetic healer. And she works internationally all over the world online. So that's one way that we're supported. We do that type of work, and she does that. I do some of the marketing and everything behind it. I run 2 YouTube channels. One has to do with more spirituality and enlightenment. I do consultations with people as well. I also do consultations when it comes down to fitness as well. So these 2 things, and I, you know, sell my music as well and that kind of thing. I also wrote a book a while ago, you know, and I get royalties from that. And I also will do videography for people. If they need video for a business, I'll go in there and do that for them as well. So there's lots of stuff like that that I do, right? I'm on Instagram there, Just Truth, as well. I am on Instagram, yeah. Darren Chen, I'm already on Instagram, so yeah, you can just go take a look at that. It's under the same name, Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. Thanks, John. Yeah, my music does rock. I love it. No, it's, you know what, I just do what inspires me, right? So sometimes when I make music, that's the other thing that takes up a lot of time. Sometimes when I make a track, it takes me a couple of days to make, so it kind of screws up my video uploads and stuff. So that's why sometimes I'm busy doing that in order to actually make some music for my video channel. So, yeah. Yeah, Sneakers on Pedals. I have another channel, but it's probably, it might be interesting to you, might not be. It's more about satsang, more about enlightenment, more about understanding who you truly are. If you're not interested in it, by no means don't listen to it. It's just a matter of, it's useful for people that are really looking for that sort of thing in their life at that time, but I'm not a religious fanatic or any of that kind of stuff, so don't misunderstand anything I'm teaching on there with that. Yep. Yeah, Toucan Chu, I don't really want to put my wife in the videos because it's really not relevant based on the work that she does for her to be in bodybuilding or fitness videos. She works out, she does yoga, and she lifts weights and stuff, but she's not, you know, fanatic as far as bodybuilding or fitness industry type person, but she's 100% a master of herself. So she's a very magical human being, let's put it that way. But yeah, I don't include her in the videos because this is kind of like a separate thing where it's kind of like me, you know, working with the guys or whatever that are interested in this sort of thing. So, yeah. What's one book I think everybody should read? I think Autobiography of a Yogi is a great book to read. It really kind of shows a different perspective and some things that are possible through the meditation path and stuff. I really like that. Christian Cooper, am I happy with the intros and editing of my videos? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't see why I shouldn't be happy with it. I guess you're alluding to the fact that I should be, probably by making that comment. Just truth. Okay, there's different chanting that has to do with different deities and stuff, but that's just a name for an energy, really. You know, it's just like saying love is a deity or a god, okay? So don't mix up cultural bullshit with reality, right? So if I chant a mantra for the force of gravity to be in alignment with that, that doesn't mean like I'm some sort of demon worshiper, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, try not to get too fanatical about that. Yeah, Toucan Chew. Yeah, on purpose I keep her out of the videos. It's just on purpose because there's just so much hate on the internet, especially in this fitness industry. It's so sick that I just, you know, it's one thing for me to put myself in the middle of YouTube and then have all the hate comments and trolls and stuff, and then it's another to put somebody else in there. So I just keep her out of that drama. There's no point in her being involved in that. Come on, show the comments here. Zach Forbes, how did I become such a good dancer? Well, when I was in high school, there was this girl I knew, and she used to have these parties at her house, but she didn't drink or do any drugs or anything like that. She was a pretty innocent, nice person, which is why I liked her. And me and my brother and my other friend would go to her house, and she'd have this party of all these people, and they weren't really heavy drinkers or anything. They were all just people that were just kind of good, kind of a social group. And she would put music on, and she was into jazz and tap and hip hop and different types of dance and stuff. And just for fun one day, she started teaching us how to dance and do different types of moves and stuff. And this was a long time ago, obviously. So that's how I got kind of hooked. So sometimes I'd be dancing in my garage in between sets and doing stuff, and then I'd watch music videos and get moves down, and that's really how it all started for me. Yeah, so yeah, that's your answer. Yeah, Darren, I don't drink beer at all. What's my height? I'm 5'8". My brother says I'm 5'7", so yeah, it's up for debate, whatever. What do I think about skull crushers? Hey Chase, weren't you here the whole time? Somebody asked me about skull crushers earlier, and I actually answered that. I think skull crushers are great, but at the same time, if you do them wrong, then they can really destroy the elbows, but yeah, just truth, there you go. Okay, so let's just say this, just truth. Just let me explain it very simply to you so that you can kind of get an understanding. There are gateways inside you that are gateways between you and the infinite, okay? So you're expanding beyond your own limitations, and in those gateways, you may have a vision of a certain idea or spiritual energy, and that's what you might call a god or something, but it's just an archetypal symbol. Like there's these archetypes that are in all of consciousness everywhere that you may become aware of, but it doesn't mean that you're being possessed like so anyway, I've chanted millions and millions of mantras and done lots of different spiritual practices, so trust me, I've done the experiment on this. So just like I'm sharing with you squat form and bench press form, you can trust that anything I'm teaching you is not going to cause you some sort of problem. So anyway. Oh, thanks Dan Summerhill for the $2. Thanks. Hey, Bullet Ride Actionwear. Hey, Jason. Hey, chat. Regarding recovery, the time it takes a scratch wound to heal on your skin, is this similar as much fiber? Okay, so I can't tell you exactly how long it takes for a muscle fiber as opposed to a skin scratch to heal. But one thing I do know is that we all know if there's too much trauma on the skin, that it's almost like it takes an exponential period of time for it to heal. So that's why I totally embrace the higher frequency workouts with lower amounts of damage, because it seems like it's easier for the body to adapt. And that's why I call it the callus principle, right? Once you've got the calluses on your hand, you do a little bit of rubbing every day, tiny bit, like the shovel or whatever, you're digging a ditch or something, you do a little bit of that every day, then your body gets calluses. But if you just do it once a week, you just tear your hands to pieces, and they never seem to recover or to build that callus. So that's kind of the whole basis of a bit of a higher frequency, lower volume type training that I do. I made $4 from this chat, just so you guys know. I've been on here 2 hours. Yes, $4. Okay, so Douglas is saying my opinion on deloads versus layoffs. Okay, so I don't use these terms and stuff, but okay, deload based, meaning that you lift lighter for periods of time. I 100% agree with doing lower intensities for periods of time, but getting the blood flow in the area. I think it is more efficient than just laying on your back, because I know when you just lay on your back and do nothing, sometimes there's a way that the body almost doesn't pump the blood through the area quite as efficiently as when you're having activity. And that activity, I do believe, helps you recover and heal at a faster rate. So some people say there's no point to lifting lighter weights. I'd say no, there is a point. You will hit different muscle fibers, and at the same time you will help pump blood through the system and help keep everything flexible and nimble and moving. And I think there's definitely a tremendous benefit to that. So that all or nothing approach is actually kind of stupid. I think that is really oversimplifying a much more intricate and complicated process in the body. Yeah, $2 an hour, that's pretty much my life on YouTube, man. $2 an hour is pretty much true. Yeah. Yeah, Danielle, okay, that's funny. Yeah, no, I'm not possessed by a demon. That's not where my dancing skills are from. Yeah. All right, good luck there, sneakers. Yeah, and I'll be putting up a new vid tomorrow, so, oh, thanks, Mike, for the $5. Thank you, buddy. Okay, Dakota Bernal, is there a way to have shredded abs and big muscles all year round? You know, I think over time when you put on muscle mass, you will naturally have a faster metabolism, so you will have an easier tendency to stay at a lower body fat percentage. Now, will you be contest shaped, like 4 or 5% body fat? No, it's impossible to stay at that, because at some point your body will fight you because it wants to put on a little bit of fat in order to survive. It's not actually safe for the body to be at 4 or 5% body fat all the time. And it knows that. So at some point, the same diet that got you shredded will start to actually put on body fat. It's kind of how the body deregulates the metabolism. That's why when you see some bodybuilders, they do too many bodybuilding shows all at once. The shows that they do later on, it's almost like they're losing condition. It's because their body starts to fight the process and starts to try to convert protein to energy and all this kind of stuff. It does all these different tricks in order to try to put on body fat again. So that's why it's good to raise your calories up, to reset that metabolism. And that's why it's impossible to remain shredded all the time. But you can stay at a decent body fat level, such as 10% or something. That is definitely possible. Now, depending on your metabolism, that will also make, be an influence. If you have a natural tendency to be super overweight, then yeah, 10% might be more of a challenge for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think maintaining 6 to 8% is 6% especially is way too lean to be able to maintain all the time. Yeah. My favorite cheat meal, Dan Somerville, is ice cream. Yeah, ice cream and chocolate with nuts on it, like chocolate, vanilla Swiss almond Haagen-Dazs is my favorite. Yeah, Douglas Farrimer. Sometimes, you don't want to drive to the gym, you just want to go for a walk or something, but that's still some activity. So it's an active rest, so you're getting some blood flowing and everything. And yeah, sometimes you do need to take time off too. I don't think everything is the same. Sometimes you just need those moments where you just don't do anything. I think that's still also, valid, right? Andreas, do I believe the vacuum is good for small waist? I don't think so. I don't think it really does anything. It might, though, help you suck that stomach in properly or activate the core when you're on stage. So in that way, maybe it helps you have more endurance there. Because a lot of people don't realize until they compete, they don't realize how hard it is when you're on stage to maintain the form and make sure everything's looking right. It's quite taxing on the system, actually. So yeah, practicing control, muscular control, and holding those poses for periods of time, like it's really effective for you to make sure that you show your physique properly when you're on stage. Okay, Petrus is saying, is it okay to split up your body parts differently? He wants to do shoulders on chest day. Well, you could do that. There's no reason why you can't. I experiment with different ways of splitting the body parts up. Yeah, you can split them up in 2 different days any way you want. I think I'm around 10% body fat right now. That's probably what I'm at. You're asking me, Dakota, what percentage? And I think around 10% is pretty good for you to be able to put on muscle and to lose body fat. Okay, Bullet Ride Activewear. What's my opinion on isometrics? Isometrics, I think, can help your mind-muscle connection, but I don't think they really help put on muscle mass. But sometimes super slow reps or isometrics can help you fire the muscles properly so that when you're doing the heavier weight that you're actually firing the muscles you want to fire. And say if your joints are a little bit out of place or not in the right groove and stuff, it can make you very aware of that. So in that way, I think it can be effective. George Petropoulos, yeah, you can stretch every day. He's asking about stretching. Should you do it every day? I think stretching, yeah, doing it every day can't be a bad thing. Yeah. Chase Taylor, is it bad to go heavy on side raises for delts? I wouldn't say it's bad, but in my situation, it might not be the best thing because of the labral tear and stuff. So I find I get more benefit out of doing 20, 30, 40 reps with, isolation type movements, especially with the delts. But I know my brother likes to do, sets of 8 or 10, like with super heavy weight sometimes. So yeah, I guess it depends on how it feels for you. But if it feels like shit and your body starts to hurt, then I would definitely recommend that you do not do, those lower reps, especially on an isolation. As a general rule, I usually recommend people stay 15 reps and higher on isolation movements. Favorite exercise of all time? It has to be the bench press. That's my favorite exercise. And then from there, the incline curl was my second favorite exercise. Daniel Malenti, I don't think that anabolic stuff should ever be, I don't think it should be legalized. But whatever, what does my opinion matter anyway? But I'm just saying that I just think it's all bullshit anyway. I just wish I would actually like to have them destroyed off the face of the planet. A lot of pharmaceuticals, unless it has to do with saving somebody's life, I think they should be destroyed. And I think the very paradigm of a pop-up pill to fix a problem needs to be changed. People need to look at their lives from a more holistic point of view. And as they say, in shamanic type fields or cultures, they say, your food is your first medicine. And a lot of times people are so out of balance emotionally, and their life is out of balance, and then their diet is out of balance, and then they look for this one thing to make up for all of this lack of balance. And that's the problem. I think this balance needs to be restored in life, and then from there, everything else will take care of itself. Okay, so Chase, yeah, you're telling me exactly what I thought to be true. Okay, you're saying, okay, cool, because you can go heavy on shoulder press, but no problem, but side raise hurts. Well, the reason why is because it's an isolation movement. Second of all, when you got a lot of stretching force and a lot of force that is hitting the shoulder differently, you don't have two joints to distribute over. So as a general rule, you can go heavier on compounds than isolations. But whenever you do an isolation, be more conscious of the weight you use, such as leg extensions, such as skull crushers, such as bicep curl. Be more conscious of the weight you're using, and it's okay to stick to higher rep ranges and then rely on the compounds in order to do the heavy weight. Pyramid versus straight sets. I think you can do both. It's when you're trying to build strength, then I would say pyramid sets. If you're doing straight sets, then that might be more in alignment with hypertrophy, although you can also gain strength that way too. So, good night there, Darren. Thanks for being here, buddy. Zach, what do I do to warm up? Do I do any dynamic mobility work? No, not really. I just do a few exercises. Well, I do the exercise that I'm going to do, but I do lighter sets and just slow reps. Sometimes I'll hold it isometrically and stuff like that. Okay, Ninja Monkey, I do believe in retracting your scapula, but that's not what's going to tear your pec. What's going to tear your pec is if your arms are out like this, and at the same time you do too heavy a weight, and you basically don't actually pull the elbows down and engage the delt in there. That's going to probably cause you to tear your pec. But sometimes, what can cause you to tear a pec is also just going too heavy for that day, being dehydrated. There can be a lot of different factors, not just your technique, right? How to get over a weight loss plateau. Caloric calculators never give me an accurate number. I don't ever use a caloric calculator, just so you know. I just know what I've been eating every day, and then I say, okay, 1 handful of rice is less than 2 handfuls of rice. That's as simple as I put it, honestly. And yeah, then from there I just say, okay, how many portions of something do I want today or not? And then I adjust from there. I'm so simple with the way I do my diet that it's hard to explain to people if they want numbers, you know? Okay, do I think that incline dumbbells are better for chest than incline barbell? I've heard that because you can bring them down further in the bar and prioritize. Okay, so first of all, bringing them down further than the bar is not necessarily a good idea. I'm going to tell you that's probably a surefire way to screw your shoulders up. In a lot of cases it is. Like, here's the thing, a lot of times people fight me on the internet about range of motion, but for years, okay, I'd be in the gym and I'd be doing my 120-pound dumbbells to 140-pound dumbbells on a flat. I'd be like doing these things, and then somebody come up to me and like, wow, that's great, you know, and then they'd be doing their dumbbell presses, and sometimes they'd be coming to here and then they're going down and bringing those elbows right back and really getting that nice stretch that looks so good in the magazines, you know. And then every time, I can't tell you how many times this happened. 2 or 3 weeks later, they'd be coming to me and they say, geez, you know, I got shoulder problems, I got a shoulder injury, I got a shoulder injury. And they're always getting shoulder injuries because they go beyond this chest stretch and then they overstretch that joint all the time, and at some point it would flare up. So the fact is that be very careful with overstretching the joints. You know, once you start to feel the stress transfer from here and it goes right deep in there, and it's almost like you have to relax to get that extra stretch, then you know you're going too deep, right? Okay, hello sir, how should a high BP guy train? I don't know what that means. Okay, so just truth, do I keep my scapula retracted the whole time during all chest exercise? Pretty much. Even when I'm doing this, yeah. Even when I'm doing anything to do a flat, even when I'm doing incline, yeah. It's just the shoulders back to sit in the girdle, and then you push, right? You don't want to do this with the shoulder girdle. Yeah. Okay, blood pressure, Douglas, you might be thinking. Okay. Roshan Hader, what I would say is that if you're doing high blood pressure stuff, I would do lower intensity cardio for longer periods of time to get that blood pressure down. You know, talk to a naturopath about some natural supplementation. Something as simple as garlic can actually help regulate blood pressure. And you don't want to be doing a lot of straining stuff, let's put it that way. Stuff where you're only doing 4 reps and you're just like, you know, just straining and holding the breath. You don't want to be doing that. Best exercise for upper chest development. You know, I'm not sure about that because I like the incline barbell, I like the incline dumbbell, and then I like the incline partially supinated dumbbell. I find that really hits the upper chest quite well, so that's worth investigating and worth trying. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have like a massive upper chest, so it's hard for me to say to you what's the best. But at the same time, I would say incline with the barbells or the dumbbells like this is not necessarily the best. I think, you know, slightly supinating may be the best because you can bring them in more and keep tension on that chest at the same time. Link the Tyrant. I don't use any adaptogenic herbs for detox or weight loss. What do I think the best rep range for maximum muscle growth? Watch my videos. So I want you to leave here tonight and I want you to go through my library of videos instead of just using me for this question and answer period, okay? Because I talk about rep range all the time, so how many reps should you do and all this kind of stuff. So watch those videos. I have a whole playlist on reps and sets down here. So if you click on that, you get a playlist of a bunch of videos that are in there as well, so you'll get a lot of information in there. Yeah, just the truth is because Arnold did say stupid shit about bring the dumbbells all the way back, all this kind of stuff. The thing is, again, this all is based on a person. So obviously it worked for Arnold. So I'm not saying that Arnold was dumb for what he did per se. But what I'm saying is that he did have shoulder surgery just a little while ago. So there's probably a reason. Second of all, the thing is with range of motion, it always is about the person. And if they're doing something and then they get inflammation of the joint, obviously what they're doing is not working for them, so they need to change something. So I just had somebody say something to me about my squat form, say, oh, you're gonna wreck your knees doing that. I'm like, well, really? 3 decades and I haven't wrecked my knees. So how smart is your comment right now? You're telling me I'm gonna wreck my knees squatting the way I do, but I've been doing it for 30 years and my knees are still functioning. So what, like I don't know, like, does that seem like intelligence to you? Does it, you know, you're making a statement based on something that happened with you, but you're taking into account one variable in a series of many variables in how I squat, right? So anyway, I'm going to be addressing this comment on Saturday, the stupid comment Saturday, but the bottom line is that people will take one variable and then say, okay, that's the one variable that influences everything about the exercise, but there's so many other variables that go into alignment, especially in something like the squat, right? Yeah. Okay, so just truth, if he tore his pec twice and had shoulder issues, then yeah, that's a sure sign that what he was doing was stupid. Yeah, I didn't know he tore his pec twice, but that's, yeah. I mean, especially if he tore his pec from that particular exercise, doing it that way, okay? Maybe he tore his pec through an accident or through a stunt, that's a totally different issue, but just like I dislocated my shoulder in hockey, that's a separate thing. But yeah, if he did it through his training, through that type of exercise that way, then I would say that, yeah. Okay, so bullet ride action wear, you recently saw that doing reverse grip bench can actually lead to upper chest gains. I think that might be possible, honestly. I haven't experimented with it a lot, but I may actually start conducting an experiment there because you do bring the shoulders up like this and the clavicular head of the pec may get hit from that, along with the front delt. But because the bicep is activated because you're supinating, that may take the front delt out a little bit and it may actually help you hit that upper pec. So who knows? I think it's worth investigating. So yeah, try that out. Yeah, bench pressing, not flies. Just True thinks Arnold injured himself bench pressing, not flies. Well, that's the thing. Bench pressing too, like I think that people do extreme ranges of motion on bench too. They have to touch their chest and do things. And yeah, sometimes it's about doing what's right for you and touching your chest isn't always necessary, right? Christian Cooper, thoughts on diving into more controversial topics to enhance channel growth? Pretty much the reason Rich Piana was as popular as he was. Yeah, but see, Christian, Rich Piana, period, was controversial. Just the fact that he just, poked holes in his face just to look a certain way and then walked down the street with a bunch of tattoos on his arms and, obviously do the obvious abuse of himself that he did in order to look like he did. Yeah, but I have no craving to be that. And at the same time, the type of controversy that I would probably create is just by talking about other people and about what they're doing. And I just decided a long time ago, I don't want to attract that kind of controversy on the channel. Just the energy around is just so shitty. So I'd rather sustain myself with a good audience and then trust that my audience, if they really appreciate what I'm doing, then they will share my stuff and help me get my word out there. But I'll do it in a way that I'm creating health and a happy community instead of, doing it like the vegan gains of the world where he just hates on everybody and then somehow that negativity creates an audience, right? Because negativity can create an audience, but does it create a life? And that's the thing. I don't want to create a life like that because it's just so much stress, fight with people all the time. Like I got to fight with people enough now just to be myself. But if I start actually attacking people and stuff based on, maybe they're doing something that I don't agree with or something like that, then yeah, in the end, it just creates so much negativity that I don't think it's a good way to build a brand, Dakota, I don't have a video on reverse pyramid training, but I have had people on the Q&A ask that. I think you do both. I don't think there is a better. I think you just do both. Is there a difference between working out AM or PM? I think it depends on where your biorhythms are there, Gordon. If you notice that you have a hard time waking up in the morning and it's a hard time getting your blood flowing and everything, then AM wouldn't be the best time for you to train, especially when it comes down to the movements like squats and stuff. I find if I train in the morning and I'm still tight from sleep and everything, and my body's still kind of not quite, got all the kinks out, then there's more of a recipe for disaster for injuries and stuff at that time. So for me, evening training and afternoon training is much better. Cool. All right, guys, I gotta take off and get something to eat. I'm starving now, so. But I will be up loading a video tomorrow. Possibly I'll be making a video up tomorrow, so make sure you guys all check that out. And thanks a lot for tuning in and all that kind of stuff. And thanks to you guys that did donate a super chat and stuff. I really appreciate that. I will just review right now. Thanks to Zed who donated a super chat. And who else here? Why are they not coming up? Why are you guys not coming up? What's going on there? Weird. But thanks to everybody that donated and helped out. And at the same time, thanks a lot for the questions, guys. And we will see you tomorrow. And yeah, thanks a lot for all the support. I really appreciate it. Seriously, I really do, honestly. Okay. All right, well, take care.